Chapter 395. Devil Hero Domain. At this moment, countless devil heroes had come to the Devil Hero Domain to observe Xiao Han's acupoint expansion ceremony. One must know that the current Xiao Han had already become a figure at the heart of the struggle. His experience was legendary. Last month, the Master of the Hero Tower personally issued an obituary, announcing to the world that Xiao Han was dead. Then Xiao Han's recent miraculous survival, and his unscrupulous slaughter of the hero warriors. Anything that Xiao Han had done was enough to become the topic of conversation for countless hero warriors. And now he was going to challenge this dimension, the largest acupoint expansion in the history of the Devil Hero Domain. And this time he was going to challenge history with his life. Countless devil heroes looked up at the light screen suspended in the void. In this light screen, Xiao Han's acupoint expansion would be reflected immediately, so that all the devil heroes in the world would know it like the back of their hands. The atmosphere was extremely tense, exciting, eye-catching, and shocking. Everyone held their breath. In private, there were also many heroes who used mental waves to communicate with each other through voice transmissions. Do you think Xiao Han can break history? The person who created the expanded acupoint realm and the person who expanded acupoints the most is the person who is ranked third on the monster hero ranking. When he first expanded his acupoint, it was 16 times. 10 times, it accumulated to 95 times. This result was unprecedented, and no one would be able to achieve it in the future. Let's see if Xiao Han can break it. But I think it's very uncertain. Think about it, how long has our dimension been around? This record of acupoint expansion has been maintained for countless eras. It's not something that can be broken easily. I estimate this record. It's our dimension. The upper limit of the acupoint expansion realm. TSK. Once Xiao Han fails, he will be executed. You can't say that. Records are made to be broken. New records will replace the old ones sooner or later. This is the law of all things. Wu Yu and the others were also nervous. Are we going to start? Xiao Mingchu had always been lazy, arrogant, and carefree. Now, cold sweat seeped out of his forehead. Brother Wu, tell me the truth. What do you think? The heavenly devil old man was not relaxed either. Wu Yu's eyes flickered. He thought for a moment before speaking. Xiao Han has already accumulated sufficient strength. It is already a matter of time before he reaches expanded acupoint realm. Moreover, he expanded the acupoints by multiple times. He would definitely surpass the beginning of the Ming dynasty. But, the first time Ming Chu had expanded his acupoints, he had only expanded them by 7 times. It's still a far cry from the creator of history 16 times. In our plane, every ancient powerhouse is a monstrous genius who possesses unparalleled luck, talent, wisdom, and luck. According to what I know, most of the ancient powerhouses would only be able to expand their acupoints by around 10 times during their first attempt. Those with 12 times or 13 times were already considered geniuses. I really don't know what kind of results Xiao Han can achieve. However, breaking history was indeed extremely difficult. Alright, don't ask me anymore, my heart is starting to get nervous. Even Crow started to feel nervous. As for Fang Ling and Dongfang Qin, they were so scared that they did not dare to speak. The highest floor of the Yaoxia Pagoda. This was a hazy space and there were abundant vital energy fluctuations everywhere. White mist lingered and the ground was also filled with white mist. No one knew how deep it was and it was unimaginably magical. The ancient powerhouse that looked like a scholar had his hands behind his back, facing a floor-to-ceiling window. Outside the window was the square and the vast Yaoxia domain. The ancient powerhouse that looked like a scholar looked into the distance and saw that the outside was filled with Yaoxia cultivators. Naturally, he could also see the huge light screen floating in the void. Behind the ancient powerhouse that looked like a scholar, there were dozens of ancient powerhouses sitting on the chairs. Their auras were as deep as the sea, ethereal, and the fragrance of sandalwood. Has Xiao Han already entered the 100 times House of Spirit? The ancient powerhouse that looked like a scholar said softly. He has already entered. He is about to break through to the next realm. Looking at Xiao Han's spirit, the first acupoint expansion should be extremely easy. Let's see the multiplier of the first acupoint expansion. A middle-aged beauty smiled gently. Generally speaking, the multiplier of the first acupoint expansion can be directly seen through the cumulative multiplier of the 10 acupoints expansion. So to judge whether Xiao Han can break the historical record set by Big Brother, we only need to observe the multiplier of the first acupoint expansion. Yes. Ancient powerhouse that had a square face nodded in agreement. Throughout history, when the human martial artists in our realm reached the acupoint expansion realm, the multiplier of the second acupoint expansion will almost always be weaker than the first. The multiplier of the third acupoint expansion will almost always be weaker than the second. Each acupoint expansion will be weaker than the last. That is why everyone says that the first acupoint expansion is extremely important. It can show one's future achievements. In history, there has never been a case where the multiplier of the second acupoint expansion was greater than the first. This is common sense. Therefore, if the multiplier of the first acupoint expansion is less than 16 times, then it will be considered a complete failure. Another ancient powerhouse said eloquently, "Alright, quiet down. Now let us watch Xiao Han's performance. I hope that Xiao Han can create new history." The ancient powerhouse that looked like a scholar stared at the light screen outside the window and did not speak anymore. The 429th level of the Yao Xia Tower. Xiao Han took the crystal key from the hands of the experienced demon warrior, Elaine, who was in charge of this level. He turned around and opened the door. In an instant, the door closed automatically. This was a small room that was only 10 square meters in size. In the middle of the room there was a futon. Other than that, there was nothing else. In the small room there were white talismans floating in the air. These talismans were the size of a palm. They were like flying reeds and sacred leaves. They were mighty and majestic. Moreover, as soon as he entered this small house, Xiao Han felt that his spirit was gradually brightening up. It was like a knife that was placed on a whetstone and continuously sharpened. Very quickly, a bright light seeped out from between Xiao Han's eyebrows from his sea of consciousness. It was dazzling, crystal clear, and it lit up the entire house of insanity. Xiao Han's thoughts became clearer and clearer, brighter and brighter, more and more profound, more and more penetrating. This is really amazing. The moment I entered the house of insanity, it was like it was a completely different world from the outside world. And here, my perception has greatly increased. It even seems like I've developed a mysterious sixth sense. Xiao Han clicked his tongue in wonder. The last time I exploded my acupoints, I entered a house of insanity that was 10 times stronger. And now, I've entered a house of insanity that was 100 times stronger. Indeed. In this house of insanity that was 100 times stronger, the sharpness of my spirit, qi, and spirit far exceeds that of the house of insanity that was 10 times stronger. It gives me a wonderful feeling of boundless space. Very quickly, Xiao Han walked to the futon in the middle of the room and sat down on it. Xiao Han sat cross-legged and looked down like an old monk in meditation. The position of this futon was the area where the talismans were the most concentrated. A series of talismans descended from the sky and wrapped around Xiao Han's body. They were all wrapped up. The talismans were like snowflakes. They merged into Xiao Han's cerebral cortex. Suddenly, Xiao Han's spirit became sharp and penetrating. It was like the bright sun shining in the clear sky. His entire brain seemed to have turned into a blue sky with white clouds. It was clean without any dirt or shadow. The whole world was intoxicated with peach blossoms and infinite fragrance. In an instant, Xiao Han's spirit became clear. The minute changes in his body, such as his heartbeat, blood circulation, cell division and production, the contraction of his pores, the change in body temperature, the movement of his internal organs. All of them were clearly reflected in Xiao Han's mind. It was as if he was looking at the lines on his palm. There was even a ball of blazing light that seeped out from Xiao Han's brain and formed a halo that enveloped Xiao Han's head. This was the spiritual halo that was emitted when one's spirit was raised to a certain level. Under the cover of the spiritual halo, Xiao Han's reaction speed, thinking ability, and sensing ability all rose steadily. In fact, every minute thing that had happened in the past was like a trickling stream that flowed before Xiao Han's eyes. It allowed Xiao Han to easily recall many trivial things that had long been forgotten in the corner of his mind. Xiao Han was completely immersed in the wondrous state where his spirit and sense of touch had increased by 100 times. Under such a state, the position of Xiao Han's 51st acupoint was clearly reflected in his mind. Moreover, a ball of scorching light emitted from Xiao Han's body in the shape of a 5-pointed star. This was the 51st acupoint. Good, watch me Xiao Han break through the 51st acupoint. Xiao Han was about to gather his spirit power and break through the 51st acupoint in one go, but, pooh! The 51st acupoint had actually broken through by itself. As the 51st acupoint broke through, waves of true energy rippled out with Xiao Han as the center. Moreover, all the acupoints in Xiao Han's body began to wriggle, and every acupoint was expanding. Around Xiao Han's body, bright red flames that resembled epiphyllum flowers appeared. They flickered and entered Xiao Han's meridians and acupoints, condensing Xiao Han's body, blood vessels, muscles and bones, expanding the capacity of Xiaohan's acupoints. During this process of condensing, Xiaohan's aura became more and more ferocious, and the quality of his true energy rose steadily. However, what's going on? Xiaohan was shocked. I wasn't even fully prepared, and the 51st acupoint broke through by itself. That's right, I understand now. With my life force, cultivation, and accumulation, the 51st acupoint should have been broken through long ago. It's just that back in Demon Metropolis, I didn't dare to break through to the next realm. I didn't dare to expand my acupoint. Now that I'm in the 100x room of spirit, my spirit power is highly concentrated, like a peerless blade showing off its sharpness. The 51st acupoint that I've been holding back for a long time finally couldn't be controlled anymore, and exploded on its own. This is a bit boring. I haven't even used my strength yet. Bang! All of a sudden the acupoints in Xiaohan's body emitted a sound of explosion. This sound was extremely violent, like a landslide or tsunami, like thousands of volcanoes erupting together. Double the acupoint. Bang! All the acupoints in his body exploded once again. Double the acupoint. Bang! Another explosion. Space trembled. Triple the acupoint. Xiaohan mysteriously broke through the 51st acupoint, exploding it 13 times. This meant that the first time he expanded his acupoint by 13 times. After a long time, Xiaohan's 51st acupoint finally stabilized. Expand my acupoint by 13 times? Xiaohan was shocked and confused. No way. I wasn't prepared at all. Automatically exploding my acupoint. I was completely caught off guard. No way. No way. When he was breaking through the 52nd acupoint, I have to focus and control it. I can't just explode it passively. Very quickly, Xiaohan calmed his mind and wholeheartedly focused on the position of the 52nd acupoint. Outside the Yaoxia Tower, the light screen floating in the void finally had a strong fluctuation. He's starting to expand his acupoint. Xiaohan is starting to expand his acupoint. Immediately in the square, one of the heroes couldn't help but roar. At the same time, bang, 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 bang. On the light screen there were also explosions. Every explosion would form a red circular pattern on the light screen. It was not until 13 red circular patterns were left on the light screen that the explosions stopped. Silence. The entire square was extremely quiet. The entire Yaoxia region. It was extremely quiet. Countless Yaoxia stared at the light screen with their mouths agape. After a few hundred breaths, on the light screen, true chi waves exploded 13 times. Xiaohan successfully broke through the 51st acupoint. The first time, 13 times. In the square there was a sharp roar. Oh no! Suddenly Wu Yu blurted out, Xiaohan's first time expanding his acupoint by 13 times. This is a level that only a genius among geniuses can achieve, but it's still a long way from breaking the record. Sect leader, this is bad. Xiao Mingchu's face was also pale, trembling. Compared to the historical record, it's 3 times worse. On the highest level of the Yaoxia Pagoda, 13 times. The scholar-like giant stared at the light screen outside the window, frowning deeply. He's indeed a genius, but Xiaohan lost. Several ancient giants blurted out. He called himself a genius and kept bragging about himself, saying that he wanted to create a new history of expanding acupoints. Ah, what an idiot. What can I say now? The first time it's only 13 times. It's almost destined that he won't be able to break the record. Xiaohan should die. A madman like him should be punished severely. The ancient giant who was trapped in the demon city, by Xiaohan stood up and said in a strange tone. Let's observe a little longer. The scholar-like giant's face was also a little ugly. Xiaohan is indeed likely to lose this bet. In the House of Vigor with 100 times. Xiaohan's eyes were tightly shut. In Xiaohan's body, there was a bright halo that was shaped like a 5-pointed star. That was the location of the 52nd acupoint. However, Xiaohan was not in a hurry to open the 52nd acupoint. He was preparing. I, Xiaohan, have dominated the 4 seas, crushing everything with my strength. The winner is king and I seek life and death. I, Xiaohan, have experienced many tough battles and hovered between life and death. I participated in the Demon Hero Selection Competition and narrowly escaped death. I fought against Demon Emperor Qing Lin and killed him. I fell into the dwelling of the Heavenly Dragon Empire's totem and almost died in the stomach of a beast. I encountered the Green Dragon Demon Emperor, and in a situation where I had no chance of winning, I turned defeat into victory and killed the Green Dragon Demon Emperor. I smashed the ancient giant Li Fanming with one punch. I entered the demon metropolis alone. In this world, no human dares to enter the demon metropolis. Even the ancient giant would instantly turn into ashes and die a violent death. But I, Xiaohan, dare to do so. In the demon metropolis, I kill ordinary demon emperors. I kill mutant demon emperors. I kill ultimate mutant demon emperors. I am possessed by an invincible demon god. My accumulation is invincible in the world. Out of all the humans in the world at my age, which one of them had the same experience as me? Which one of them has the heaven-defying accumulation that I have? Xiaohan's spirit became more and more intense. In his body, streams of light flickered, and his whole body glowed with dazzling light and vitality. In the end, every cell and every pore of his was closely connected to the void. In his body, there was a hymn singing, and balls of great true qi wrapped around his body, appearing and disappearing along with his aura. In his mind, spirit surged, and even his soul became more condensed and solid. His entire brain region was in turmoil, as though a giant was about to split the heavens and earth apart. All right. The time has come. The 50-second true acupoint, open it for me. Roar. Xiaohan let out a loud roar. This roar contained all of Xiaohan's spirit and strength. Pooh. The 50-second true acupoint directly exploded. Double the acupoint. Double the acupoint. Bang. Triple the acupoint. Bang. 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 Suddenly Xiaohan stood up. His entire body was filled with pure light without any impurities. The true acupoints in his body kept exploding, and the number was multiplying. After a long time, the sound of the explosion finally stopped. Xiaohan successfully opened the 50-second true acupoint. Expand the acupoint by 50 times. For the first time, Xiaohan was completely unprepared and was caught off guard. He only expanded the acupoint by 13 times. However, for the second time, after some preparation, Xiaohan suddenly exploded and directly expanded the acupoint by 50 times. He had completely and perfectly displayed all the knowledge he had accumulated throughout his life. The potential of his life was displayed. The 2 times, Xiaohan expanded the acupoint by 63 times. Xiaohan still had a total of 8 chances left. To be continued. Chapter 396. Xiaohan had broken through the 50-second acupoint. The second acupoint expansion. The acupoint expansion reached 50 times. Shocking the world. At this moment, Xiaohan could only feel that every acupoint of his had a great increase in sensitivity to the surrounding true qi. In fact, every single acupoint produced a vortex that devoured the jinqi that was drifting in the house of Psyche like a whale. Xiaohan's body moved casually and he could feel countless true qi surging towards him and pouring into his acupoints. Streams of true qi formed from the condensation of true qi and made a sizzling sound. Endless true qi wrapped around Xiaohan. Waves surged and appeared and disappeared. Good. Good. Very good. Xiaohan's heart was neither sad nor happy. He was not complacent because of this result. It was just a self-evaluation. Now that the capacity of the acupoints has increased, I can cultivate even more powerful true qi skills in the future. My accumulation is far from this. Continue to break through the acupoints. Buzz, the position of the 53rd acupoint appeared in Xiaohan's body. It was bright and clear. Xiaohan sat down cross-legged and began to accumulate energy. He was about to break through the acupoint for the 3rd time. Outside the Yaoxia Tower. Silence. Complete silence. Hundreds of thousands of Yaoxia stared at the light screen floating in the air like clay statues. On the light screen, there was a second wave of true qi explosion. After 50 explosions, 50 red circular patterns were left behind. This indicated that Xiaohan's second acupoint expansion had reached 50 times. The expressions on the faces of every chivalrous swordsman stiffened. Some of the Yaoxia saw that Xiaohan's first acupoint expansion was only 13 times. It was far from being comparable to the historical founder's first acupoint expansion. Then they thought of Xiaohan's shameless words. Pretentious. They all felt a sense of schadenfreude. Their expressions were filled with ridicule and mockery. However, at this moment, their mockery was frozen on their faces. They were as cold as unborn babies. Then their bodies began to tremble uncontrollably. They rubbed their eyes and looked at the red circular patterns on the light screen. They counted over and over again, their hearts filled with disbelief. After a long time. Impossible. This is completely impossible. In the expanded acupoint realm, one had to expand one's acupoints by 10 times each time. How difficult was that? This was Xiao Han's first time expanding his meridians by 13 times. Forget it, he expanded his meridians for the second time. How could it surpass the first time? This was something that had never happened before in history. The multiplier of the acupoint enlargement could only be less and less, it was impossible to exceed it? Xiao Han's second acupoint expansion was 50 times. How could it be so abnormal? Reaching the heavens in a single bound, reaching the heavens in a single bound. Such talent, if it is true in our plane, no, in countless planes he will be an immortal legend. Suddenly, one of the giants from ancient times began to howl. He had completely lost control of himself, and it seemed like his mind was about to collapse. The next moment, the entire Wuxia domain was in an uproar. It was completely boiling. Second meridian expansion. 50 times. Monster. A miracle. A miracle. Is Xiao Han not human? Could he be an immortal who had descended to the mortal world and reincarnated? Ah. Sect leader. Junior brother Xiao Han. 2 times of meridian expansion and the accumulated result is 63 times. 2 times of meridian expansion and the result is more than the result of 10 times of meridian expansion. Xiao Mingchu also roared crazily. His face was filled with excitement and shock. Sect leader, our pure maiden sect has risen. Our pure maiden sect has given birth to a divine talent that has not been seen in billions of years. Our pure maiden sect has completely flourished. Good lad. If this goes on, he will become an immortal sooner or later. He will become a real immortal. Wu Yu clenched his fists tightly, unable to control himself. On the highest floor of the Yaoxia Tower. Pooh! The beautiful middle-aged giant had completely lost her elegance and restraint. She spat out a mouthful of fragrant tea that was in her mouth. Then, her fragrant body jumped several zhang high and landed in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. She stared blankly at the light screen that was suspended in the void. 50 times? At the same time, the dozens of giants who had been sitting down all jumped up one by one, scratching their ears and cheeks, beating their chests and stamping their feet, and howling at the top of their lungs. Second meridian expansion by 50 times. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All the giants rushed to the window and slammed their hands on it, as if they were having a seizure. The bearing of an immortal. I'm afraid there is no monster like Xiao Han in the entire universe. The second meridian expansion is multiple times more than the first meridian expansion, breaking the rules, crushing history, and obliterating everything. Good. That's great. The giant who looked like a scholar let out a long cry. I didn't expect such a person to appear in an ordinary plane like ours. Is this the legendary quality of becoming an immortal? Is this the undefeatable person who will sweep through the entire universe in the future? After a pause, he forced himself to calm down. All of you be quiet. All of you are giants of the ancient times, yet you can't keep your composure? Now let's see if Xiao Han can break through the 53rd meridian and proceed with the 3rd meridian expansion. The 3rd meridian expansion is extremely important. Now, it seems that Xiao Han's 3rd meridian expansion is far more important than his 1st meridian expansion by 100 or even 1,000 times. For any martial artist, after entering the meridian expansion realm, the 1st meridian expansion was the most important. But this elementary scholar said that Xiao Han's 3rd meridian expansion was 100 or even 1,000 times more important than the 1st. The group of ancient powerhouses looked at the scholar with blank eyes. Xiao Han is a person with extraordinary talent. We can no longer use common sense to measure him. The elementary scholar quickly explained. His 1st meridian expansion was only 13 times. But, the 2nd meridian expansion is many times more powerful than the 1st, reaching 50 times. This was unprecedented, an extraordinary and transcendent matter. But, we all know that for a meridian expansion realm martial artist, the multiple meridian expansion is closely related to one's luck, accumulation, life force, talent, hard work. Not a single one can be left out. Now, I'm worried that Xiao Han's 2nd meridian expansion will be too fierce. Big brother, I understand what you mean. You're worried that Xiao Han's 2nd meridian expansion will be useless. All of his life force and accumulation will be used up. All of it will be used up. That's right. According to common sense, the 10 meridian expansions should be done one at a time, step by step, neither too fast nor too slow. It's like boiling a frog in warm water. Once Xiao Han's second meridian expansion uses up all of his chips. Then, during the third meridian expansion, it's very possible that he will lose 1,000 li in one go, his life force will decline. The beautiful middle-aged woman said. I understand. If Xiao Han squeezes out all of his potential during the second meridian expansion, then, not only will he find it difficult to move forward during the third meridian expansion, he might even become exhausted. It's hard to advance even an inch, and it's even possible for one's mind and body to be exhausted. Their hair will turn white overnight and they will grow old in an instant. The square-faced giant also nodded continuously. There must be a reason for this abnormality. What ability does Xiao Han have to be able to defy the heavens? He was just a competitive and stupid person who was intoxicated by his success. The second meridian expansion, forcefully burning his life force, I don't think that he will be able to expand his meridian for the third time. It's possible that during the third meridian expansion he'll be terrified. 5 times or even 1 or 2 times. If that happens he'll be crippled. The giant that was trapped in Demon City said with a gloomy face. Forget it. Let's not talk about it for now. Just observe carefully. The Scholar of Eternity said straightforwardly. According to my estimation, Xiao Han's third meridian expansion will not exceed his second. He's immortal after all, and it's impossible for him to have such a strong heart and accumulation. However, as long as the multiplier of his third meridian point expansion was the same as the first time, then Xiao Han would truly rise to power. Otherwise it'll be a flash in the pan. Sky's Devil Old Man, Xiao Han's third meridian expansion is extremely crucial. I'm also worried that Xiao Han's second meridian expansion will be too ferocious and he'll use up all of his life's accumulation. After a brief moment of surprise, the black-haired old man calmed himself down. The third meridian expansion, either Xiao Han soars to the sky, or he stops here. Yes, it's too extreme. There can only be 2 results. The Sky's Devil Old Man nodded in agreement. Success or failure will depend on the third meridian expansion. Yaoxia Pagoda. 100 times Room of Vigor. Xiao Han sat cross-legged, his body surrounded by light and mist. His face was expressionless and he looked solemn. His whole body was glowing. Wung, 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 the position of the 53rd meridian continued to squirm, emitting a soft hum. Is this the position of the 53rd meridian? As expected, in the 100 times Room of Vigor, he could clearly feel it. I, Xiao Han, have experienced many trials and tribulations to reach this day. My wisdom has grown and I've gotten rid of the fear of death. I've tempered my spirit and tempered my will to become incomparably sharp, without any impurities. No amount of terror or pain can shake my heart. My Xiao Han's accumulation is rare in this world. In this plane, even the ancient giants, elders, and even the Tower Master couldn't reach my level when they were the same age as me. Alright, the 53rd meridian, explode. Ho! Xiao Han let out another ferocious roar and his aura rose once again. White tiger leaves the forest. Azure dragon returns to the sea. Pooh! The 53rd meridian forcefully exploded. Suddenly, all the meridian in Xiao Han's body emitted an explosive sound. The sound was extremely violent, like a landslide and tsunami, like thousands of volcanoes erupting at the same time. It was like thousands of demons roaring together. Bang! Double the meridian. Bang! All the meridian in his body exploded again. Double the meridian. Bang! Another explosion. Space trembled. Triple the meridian. Bang! 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 Third expansion. When all the meridian in Xiao Han's body stabilized and no longer expanded, Xiao Han understood. He broke through the 53rd meridian, and the third expansion reached 80 times. The first expansion was 13 times. The second expansion was 50 times. The third expansion was 80 times. It accumulated to 143 times. Rising steadily, never weakening. Outside the Yaoxia Tower. In the plaza. The curtain of light floating in the void was constantly triggering true energy fluctuations and explosions. 80 consecutive explosions. The scene was eerily quiet. One could hear a pin drop. After an unknown period of time, he won. Xiao Han won. He broke history. He has completely broken history. One of the demon warriors screamed. Ha 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 ha. My Cloud Sect's Xiao Han expanded his meridian 3 times and has accumulated to 143 times. Surpassing the ancients. I'm afraid there will be no one like him in the future. Ah! Crow laughed hysterically. On the highest floor of the Demon Warrior Tower. Xiaohan, he won. The scholar was in a daze. The third acupoint expansion is actually even fiercer than the second. Immortal Ascension quality. This is the immortal grade. Compared to him, I am like a firefly competing with the moon. I'm ashamed. To be continued. Chapter 397. Xiaohan opened the 53rd acupoint in one go, completing the third acupoint expansion. Moreover, Xiaohan did not burn his life potential in the process of the second acupoint expansion, as Xiaocai and the others had feared. On the contrary, the multiplier of the third acupoint expansion was even greater than the second. The third acupoint expansion was 80 times. At this moment, Xiaohan's body was free of dust and dirt. The abundant true qi turned into wind, dragon and tiger. His temperament was like that of a god descending to earth. My accumulation and potential are still enough for me to continue. Xiaohan began to sense the location of the 54th acupoint. However, at this moment in the entire chivalrous region, countless chivalrous heroes were in a state of great shock, great excitement and great confusion. In the void in the sky, there were 143 clear red circular patterns, representing Xiaohan's accumulated acupoint expansion of 143 times. In the history of the chivalrous world, the first person to expand acupoint by 16 times for the first time and 95 times for the cumulative acupoint expansion. Although Xiaohan's first time expanding acupoint by 13 times was a bit clumsy, his cumulative acupoint expansion had already surpassed the first person to expand acupoint in this realm. What was even more terrifying was that Xiaohan had only expanded his acupoint 3 times. He still had 7 chances to continuously break the record. What was even more terrifying was that Xiaohan's continuous expansion of acupoint expansion was in a state of gradual increase. Each time was fiercer than the last. There was no sign of decline. Then what would happen next? The fortune of this realm. Xiaohan's strong rise will be the fortune of this realm. A yellow-clothed old man raised his hands. He looked up at the sky. Tears streamed down his face. Is Qiu Qiantai? Not far away. Crow looked at the yellow-clothed old man, frowned slightly, and said to the Heavenly Devil Old Man, this Qiu Qiantai is known as the #1 chivalrous hero of the Great Wilderness. On the chivalrous hero ranking, he is ranked 101. He is known as the #1 among the ancient giants. He has all kinds of methods. He is no weaker than the ancient giants who are ranked lower. He is a very difficult person to deal with. At this moment in the square, many chivalrous heroes looked at Qiu Qiantai. 143 times. Even if Xiaohan stopped here and didn't create any more miracles in the following meridians, this result alone was enough for him to build a solid foundation. Once his true qi transformed into true talismans, he could then set up talisman formations. Forge a magic treasure, open the eye of the heavens. He will become our plane. A leading figure of the new generation. Once he becomes an immortal, tsk, when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs can ascend to heaven. Our plane of existence will also be blessed with glory. When that time comes, we can casually receive some immortal qi from the upper realm, and our plane of existence will give birth to immortals one after another. From now on, this plane of ours will change. It will flourish and prosper. Wiping out the demon race was just around the corner, and the unification of the human race could be realized. Ah! Qiu Qiantai burst into tears. Is that so? Senior Qiu, it seems that after the Tower Master and the Elders come out of seclusion, they won't hold Xiaohan responsible for killing the evil heroes? A young evil hero standing beside Qiu Qiantai couldn't help but ask in a low voice. Punish my ass. Xiaohan will soon become the leading figure of our plane of existence. He will lead our plane of existence to a bright future. Who would dare to punish him? Killing one person is a crime, killing 10,000 is a hero, killing 1,000,000 is a hero among heroes. This is the Xiaohan we are talking about. Qiu Qiantai scolded sternly. On the highest floor of the evil hero tower. Now this group of ancient giants were in a state of near insanity. I lost. The ancient giant who looked like a scholar said with a trembling voice. Defeated. However, I am convinced of my defeat. Xiaohan's meridians are getting fiercer and more powerful each time. He is #1 in our plane of existence, and he will definitely be outstanding in other planes. Good. I think the Tower Master and the Elders will be very pleased when they come out of seclusion. In our ordinary plane of existence, I am afraid that only one demon like Xiaohan will be born after countless eras. Alright, everyone sit down. Wait for Xiao Han to come out of seclusion. Once Xiao Han comes out of seclusion, we will immediately prepare a grand banquet to celebrate. The ancient giant said enthusiastically. The other ancient giants nodded their heads in agreement. The ancient giant who was previously trapped in the demon city by Xiao Han had a gloomy expression on his face. He sat there without saying a word. A hint of ruthlessness flashed across his eyes as his mind continued to calculate. Xiao Han, this little bastard, is really abnormal. His rise is unstoppable. However, there is already enmity between me and Xiao Han. With his personality, I am afraid that he will take the initiative to suppress me once he grows stronger. Otherwise, I will find a chance to get rid of him while he is still young. All kinds of sinister plots and schemes started to form in the ancient giant's mind. At the Evil Hero Tower. 100 times Spirit Room. Suddenly, from Xiao Han's body, 53 five-pointed stars were emitted. Each of the five-pointed stars formed a world of its own, encompassing the universe, swallowing the 9 continents and containing a huge amount of true qi. With a slight thought from Xiao Han, numerous Zhenqi dragons, Zhenqi tigers, and Zhenqi cranes rushed out from every meridian in Xiao Han's body, releasing boundless power. Furthermore, the quality of the true qi was extraordinarily high. It was not something that Xiao Han could compare with before he reached the expanding acupoint realm. True qi. I, Xiao Han, have finally obtained a powerful true qi. With the support of his true qi divine art, the power of his attacks would be much more ferocious than the pure power of his fleshly body. There are thousands of ways to achieve the same goal. However, the cultivation of true qi is the true path. Only then can one become an immortal. Only then can one attain the Tao. With a powerful true qi, one can break the worldview of others and perform all kinds of unimaginable things. Flying through the air, controlling fire and water, lightning and golden rays. Their strength is boundless and boundless. It can even extend one's lifespan. At this moment, Xiao Han's every move was filled with an incomparable aura. In the next moment, the 54th acupoint open. Proceed with the 4th acupoint expansion. Pooh! The 54th acupoint was opened under Xiao Han's powerful mental strength, will, aura, and foundation. Accumulation. Under all kinds of impacts, it directly exploded. There was no suspense. Bang, 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 consecutive explosions. From within Xiao Han's body, a gust of wind rushed out, causing the entire mental house to shake. When the aftermath of the explosion stabilized, the 4th acupoint expansion 120 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion 263 times. Xiao Han once again gathered his mental strength, aura, and accumulated to break through the 55th acupoint. He was going to proceed with the 5th acupoint expansion. The glory he obtained from the previous 4 acupoints expansion. Xiao Han threw it to the back of his mind. At this moment, his state of mind was as calm as still water. There was not the slightest bit of arrogance or impetuosity. It was as if everything was just a matter of course. Boundless sacred light continuously shone on Xiao Han's body. Boom! The 55th acupoint exploded. Waves of true qi storms immediately swept across. Bang! 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 The 55th acupoint. They exploded together, forming a chaotic scene. But in an instant they were reforged. After the reforging, the capacity of the new acupoint increased. Not only could it hold more true qi, but it also made Xiao Han's life form stronger. In the future, the path of true qi cultivation would be wider. I also understand a little. To expand acupoints more than ordinary people, there are 3 important points. The first is a strong flesh shell. This point, senior brother Xiao Mingqiu has already told me in the past. And now, my flesh shell is as strong as a wild beast of the great wilderness. Just the strength of my flesh shell alone has 53 million ding, surpassing the pure strength of countless monsters' flesh shell. The second is the tempering and transformation of the mind, and it depends on the accumulation. In terms of accumulation, my accumulation is too huge and indescribable. The third is the mental strength. My mental strength is clear, pure and untainted. I have comprehended the great success stage saber intent and can slash through nothingness. And I am a transmigrator with 2 souls. My mental strength is strong enough. I have fulfilled the 3 conditions that determine the expansion of acupoints. My expansion of acupoints is not something ordinary people can compare to. The 5th acupoint expansion 180 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion 443 times. Unprecedented and no one in the future. Outside the Yaoxia Pagoda, the place was filled with madness and screams. Xiaohan. Xiaohan has already accumulated the acupoint expansion by 443 times. Crazy, this is really crazy. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Wu Li was also excited to the point that he was in a mess. Sect Master. This disciple knows. It must be because junior brother Xiaohan's physical strength is ridiculously strong. The stronger the physical body, the more beneficial it is to expand acupoints. Xiao Mingqiu said loudly. No. Not only is his physical body strong, Xiaohan must have experienced extremely dangerous things. He faced a desperate situation and came back from the dead. His mind has been tempered to become bright and flawless. What exactly did he experience? 2 months ago he went to carry out a mission. What was that mission? Wu Li said with a trembling voice. And on the top floor of the Demon Hero Pagoda, there was a group of ancient giants. Right now they were already numb from the shock of Xiaohan breaking the record continuously. Each of them sat paralyzed with a dull look in their eyes. Demon Hero Pagoda. Spirit House. Demon God. You want to seize my body. How can I, Xiaohan, sit and wait for death? One day I, Xiaohan, will kill you. Roar. Xiaohan's willpower was becoming more and more tenacious. During the process of expanding his acupoints, he actually developed a battle intent towards the demon god. This battle intent turned into a shockwave. All of a sudden. 56th true acupoint open for me. Boom, the 6th acupoint expansion 200 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion was 643 times. The 7th acupoint expansion 260 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion was 903 times. The 7th acupoint expansion 300 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion was 1,203 times. The 8th acupoint expansion 350 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion was 1,553 times. The 9th acupoint expansion 400 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion was 1,953 times. The 10th acupoint expansion, the last acupoint expansion. Xiaohan's eyes were sharp. All of a sudden, his body was surrounded by endless saber light. The great accomplishment realm saber intent was directly unleashed. A wisp of natal saber chi wriggled like a dragon and kept jumping in the air, constantly teleporting. Xiaohan's mental strength had also condensed to an extreme point. After the 9th acupoint expansion, my accumulation is almost exhausted. The last acupoint expansion, I will use my natal saber chi to directly cut. 60th true acupoint. Open for me. Boom, with a thought from Xiaohan, that strand of natal saber chi was like a tornado, killing towards the 60th acupoint in his body. The speed of the natal saber chi was close to the speed of light. The vibration was so intense that even the heavens and earth resonated. The airflow in the spirit house rippled wildly. Where the natal saber chi vibrated, tornadoes appeared, piercing through the void and destroying all 6 paths. The last acupoint expansion. With his accumulation almost exhausted, he used his natal saber chi. All out. To be continued. Chapter 398. Today in the book review section, a reader said that I made a mistake and had twice expanded the 7th acupoint. I took a look and found that it was true. Sorry, it was a mistake, so I have changed it back. 9 times, a total of 1,553 times. Minus the extra 400 times. It will not affect any reading. Monster Hero Pagoda. 100 times in the House of Vigor. Xiaohan expanded his acupoint. At this moment, Xiaohan had already successfully opened the 59th acupoint. He had completed 9 expansions, and the cumulative expansion had reached 1553 times. He was once the first person to expand his acupoint in this plane, but he had only expanded his acupoint by 95 times. Compared to Xiaohan's achievement, it was a complete loss. He was definitely a complete loss to Xiaohan. Despicable. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. They were not on the same level. At this moment, Xiaohan was trying his best to open the 60th acupoint and complete the last expansion. However, after expanding his meridians 9 times in a row, he continued to climb higher and higher. Under the great pressure, his aura was like a rainbow, like a hot knife cutting through butter. However, it also exhausted all of Xiaohan's life's accumulation. Yes, Xiaohan's accumulation was indeed vigorous, but it could not withstand such a crazy consumption. Now Xiaohan was slightly strained to open the 60th acupoint. But, Xiaohan still had his saber intent. His mental strength had been tempered to the point where it was free of dust and dirt. His mental strength had given birth to the great accomplishment Saber Chi. This saber intent was unparalleled. Moreover, it contained Xiao Han's heart. It also contained Xiao Han's feelings. At the same time, poo, 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 it came from Xiao Han's soul. It burst forth from Xiao Han's soul. It was as if something had shattered. It's the 7-fragment saber technique. In a split second, Xiao Han had an epiphany. This desperate move to open the acupoint, the 7 emotions of the 7-fragment saber technique. Joy, anger, sorrow, joy, love, evil. 6 desires. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body will, all shattered. Clean and clean. All of a sudden Xiao Han's natal saber chi emitted a bright and proud sound. Xiao Han's saber heart was illuminated. The entire house of vigor was filled with dazzling saber light. Xiao Han's life force suddenly reached its peak. Now, Xiao Han's great accomplishment saber intent had completely stabilized. It was the best consolidation. It was flawless and without any flaws. It was like the bright sun in the clear sky, and it could be said to be perfect. After shattering the 7 emotions and 6 pleasures, Xiao Qin casually chopped out with his saber, forgetting about the 7 emotions and 6 pleasures, forgetting about victory and defeat, forgetting about honor and disgrace. He poured out all his energy, battle intent, and saber intent in an instant, causing the saber strike to be flawless and pure. He had reached the realm of transcending mortality and entering holiness. It was extremely powerful. He could become a saint, could defy the heavens. Pooh! The flawless natal saber chi directly struck the 60th acupoint in Xiao Han's body. Bang! Successful acupoint explosion. Hong! All of a sudden Xiao Han's body exploded. A giant mushroom cloud, with Xiao Han's body as the center, swept out in all directions. The entire house of exorcism was filled with flying sand and stones. It was dim, lightless, and on the verge of collapse. Peng, 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 increase acupoints by 1-fold. Expand acupoints by 2 times. Expand the acupoints by 3 times. Consecutive explosions. The berserk chi surged and spun continuously, like many chi dragons crashing into the walls of the room. The walls of the house of exorcism were full of holes, and it was a scene of devastation. Moreover, the air in the house of exorcism collapsed, disappeared, and evaporated from the explosions. The power was unparalleled. The sounds of explosions were endless, indicating that Xiao Han's last acupoint expansion was still going strong. 100 times. 200 times. 300 times. Extreme madness. Outside the Yaoxia Pagoda, the light screen hovering in the air was also constantly emitting waves of true energy and explosions. Every explosion left a red circular pattern in the air. Now the entire light screen was densely packed with countless red circular patterns. Countless Yaoxia in the Yaoxia region had a nervous breakdown. They counted in unison as if they had lost their minds. 497 times, 498 times, 499 times, 500 times, their voices were uniform. All the Yaoxia seemed to be possessed. On the highest floor of the Yaoxia Pagoda. Roar? Xiao Han's 10th acupoint expansion actually directly increased by hundreds of times. Unbelievable. A miracle. The reincarnation of an immortal. He must be the reincarnation of an immortal. 609,610,611, the scholar-like giant of all ages had also completely gone mad. Yaoxia Pagoda. 100 times in the house of exorcism. Bang! The last explosion was completed. Xiao Han's entire body's aura gradually retracted. The 60 true acupoints gradually stabilized. 1,000 times. The last acupoint expansion, my saber intent is approaching perfection. My heart, battle intent, and saber intent, the combination of the 3 has pushed my entire aura to the peak. As a result, my 10th acupoint expansion has reached 1,000 times. Xiao Han himself felt as if he was in a dream. The 10th acupoint expansion is over, and my expanding acupoint realm is officially over. The accumulated 10 times of acupoint expansion is 2,553 times. At this moment, the 51st to 60th true acupoint had already been bombarded by Xiao Han, allowing him to complete his cultivation in the expanding acupoint realm. He had also completed a total of 10 acupoints expansion. From the aspect of cultivating true chi, completing 10 acupoints expansion meant that he had entered the next level. In the cultivation of true chi, he had taken the most important step. From then on, Xiao Han could be considered as a true chi expert. Endless trials. Endless opportunities, endless transformations on the line between life and death, courageously advancing, dominating the world, crushing everything. This allowed Xiaohan to finally perfect his acupoint expansion. The current Xiaohan no longer doubted his own cultivation in the aspect of true qi. Before this, Xiaohan was only strong in the flesh. His demonic techniques were strong, but his true qi cultivation was a mess. But now, the accumulated 10 times of acupoint expansion had reached a monstrous 2,553 times. He was already the fully deserving number one in this realm. One must know that the more acupoint expansion, the more stable one's foundation was. In the future, the talisman formation realm. The true treasure realm required the foundation of the acupoint expansion. The more acupoint expansion, the better. The greater one's achievements in the future. The current giant of all ages, who was ranked third on the Monster Hero ranking board, had only created a history of 95 times of acupoint expansion. This allowed him to achieve the glorious achievements he had today, reaching the peak of the human realm and becoming a minister of the people. Xiaohan's acupoint expansion far exceeded this giant of all ages. One could imagine how monstrous Xiaohan's achievements would be in the future. It was indeed possible for him to become a celestial. However, after the 10 times of acupoint expansion, Xiaohan felt like he had been squeezed dry. His entire body was exhausted and he couldn't help but lie on the ground. However, the corner of his mouth curled into a relieved smile. Good, all the trials and tribulations before this weren't for nothing. Everything was worth it. Xiaohan silently examined himself, and discovered that each of his true meridians had formed their own space, forming a minor world, a palace, an ocean, a sky, and a land. His mind wave casually swept into one of the acupoints, and he saw that there was a door outside the acupoint. This door seemed to be 1,000 feet tall, reaching into the clouds. It was embedded in his body, and it was completely transparent as if it was made of crystal, but it was very sturdy. Within the door there seemed to be a celestial cave abode. One acupoint, one world, could contain a huge amount of true qi, summoning the wind and summoning the rain. Currently, Xiaohan had opened 60 acupoints in his body, and under the premise of not expanding acupoints, each acupoint could hold 1,000 ding of force. His pure Jinqi strength was 60,000 ding. Now that his acupoints had been expanded 2,553 times, Xiaohan's pure Jinqi strength had reached a terrifying 150 million ding. Even Xiaohan himself was a little frightened by this power. Shengguan Wudi had once analyzed the combat strength of the various stages of the Jinqi realm to Xiaohan. For example, after Shengguan Wudi had expanded his acupoints 10 times, his pure Jinqi strength was only 4 to 5 million ding. In other words, when Shengguan Wudi was at the pinnacle of the acupoint expansion realm, if he were to encounter the current Xiaohan, even without using his physical strength or demonic techniques, Xiaohan could still crush Shengguan Wudi with just his Jinqi. After Shengguan Wudi entered the talisman-shaping realm, he had 10 chances to cleanse his true talisman, and increase the quality of his Jinqi strength by several times. After 10 times of cleansing his true talisman, Shengguan Wudi's Jinqi quality had increased by 81 times, allowing his pure Jinqi strength to reach 400 to 500 million ding. Currently, Xiaohan was at the pinnacle of the acupoint expansion realm, and his Jinqi had yet to transform into talismans. Thus, his pure Jinqi strength was still unable to match up to some talisman-shaping realm pinnacle experts. However, once Xiaohan started to transform his Jinqi into true talismans, it would be a different story. So, the acupoint expansion realm is just a foundation for the talisman-shaping realm, Xiaohan understood. Even if I expand my acupoints by several thousand times, I would only be able to unleash less than 200 million ding of pure Jinqi strength. Thus, Xiaohan needed to transform his Jinqi into true talismans. Once he transformed his Jinqi into true talismans, even if Xiaohan's result was the same as Shengguan Wudi's 10 times of cleansing his true talismans and increasing the quality of his Jinqi by 81 times, Xiaohan would still be able to unleash 1 billion ding of pure Jinqi strength. To possess such strength at the talisman-shaping realm, what kind of concept was that? After Shengguan Wudi reached the true treasure realm, even if he were to drive all of his Jinqi and augment it with the Yin-Yang destruction grade Jinqi, he would only be able to unleash a maximum offensive strength of 10 billion ding. On the other hand, Xiaohan possessed 1 billion ding of pure Jinqi strength at the talisman-shaping realm. Even if he were to augment it with a trashy Jinqi divine art, he would be able to defeat Shengguan Wudi, who was at the true treasure realm. A talisman-shaping realm cultivator defeating a true treasure realm cultivator. This was the benefit of having a strong foundation when expanding one's acupoints. Furthermore, Xiao Han was only using Shengguan Wudi's results when he was at the talisman-shaping realm. If Xiao Han could be as monstrous as the acupoint expansion realm when he was still at the talisman-shaping realm, raising the quality of his Jinqi by 1,000 times, then, he would be able to sweep through this plane with just a flip of his hand. Like picking up grass. Oh. The acupoint expansion realm is still a foundation. Right now, my foundation is very solid, but to convert this foundation into fighting prowess, I still have to reach the talisman-shaping realm. It won't be easy for me to achieve the same results as when I was at the acupoint expanding realm. That's because my accumulation has already been depleted during the 10 times of expanding my acupoints. I have to accumulate again. However, it won't be easy to accumulate the same amount as when I was at the acupoint expanding realm. Do I have to make another trip to the demon metropolis and fight against those demon emperors again? Xiao Han laughed involuntarily. No. His starting point was too high and it was very difficult to surpass himself. He had to accumulate more than before. Forget it, I don't care so much. Xiao Han was now seriously exhausted. His eyelids were heavy and he just wanted to sleep. I've won the bet. I'm sure those ancient authorities won't make things difficult for me or hold me accountable for killing the demon hero. Phew. I just want to return to the Pure Cloud sect and have a good rest. Xiao Han was overwhelmed by fatigue. Outside the demon hero pagoda. In the square. 1,000 times. Xiao Han's 10th acupoint expansion actually expanded it 1,000 times. The accumulated acupoint expansion reached 2,553 times. The gods have descended. The gods have descended. The entire demon hero region was completely ignited. In every corner of the Yaoxia domain, there was a huge uproar. Immediately, immortal descending, reincarnation of immortal, God descending. These titles were given to Xiao Han by many demon heroes. On the highest level of the demon hero tower. Xiao Han. We must nurture him. We have to nurture him at all costs. This is a talent. A heaven-defying talent. In the future, it will affect the rise and fall of our plane. Before this, all the mistakes that Xiao Han has made will be erased. No one is allowed to make things difficult for Xiao Han. The ancient scholar howled at the top of his lungs. To be continued. Chapter 399. Xiao Han sat cross-legged in the spirit house to recuperate. Not long after, the drowsiness were gradually dispelled. Hu! Xiao Han let out a breath of turbid air and stood up. He opened the spirit house and walked out. Xiao Han. The senior demon warrior who controlled this floor, the stunning beauty Elaine, stood at the door and looked at Xiao Han in shock. You're out of seclusion. Yes, thank you for lending this spirit house to Xiao Han, Senior Elaine, Xiao Han said humbly. Xiao Han, you don't have to thank me. Elaine paused for a moment, then quickly said. Xiao Han, congratulations. You've become the most talented person in the demon warrior world in our plane. No one in this world can compete with you. Unknowingly, Elaine's attitude towards Xiao Han was mixed with respect. It was almost a subconscious attitude. This made Xiao Han feel slightly embarrassed. Oh right, Xiao Han, a few ancient giants would like to see you, Elaine continued. This. Xiao Han frowned slightly, then smiled calmly. Senior Elaine, I've spent too much energy in seclusion this time. Now, I'm exhausted. This, Xiao Han, what do you mean? Elaine smiled and looked at Xiao Han patiently. How about this, I'll go see those ancient giants. However, I won't stay in the Demon Warrior Tower for long. I'll return to the Cloud Sect as soon as possible. Xiao Han took a deep breath, a strong yearning appeared in his eyes. I want to go home and rest well. The Cloud Sect is the best medicine for me to comfort my tired soul. Yes, Xiao Han. I understand what you mean. I'll arrange it for you. Elaine nodded solemnly. All right, Xiao Han. I'll send a message to the sect master of the Crow Sect. They're outside the Demon Warrior Tower right now. Thank you, Senior Elaine. Xiao Han was overjoyed. I haven't seen the sect master for a long time. I really miss the sect master and my senior brothers. The highest level of the Demon Warrior Tower. Xiao Han was surrounded by a group of ancient giants. They were the stars surrounding the moon. Ah, Xiao Han. You're really something. Your talent has won me over. The elementary scholar said to Xiao Han in a natural and unrestrained manner. Congratulations. Xiao Han, you've broken my record for expanding acupoints. This is the fortune of our plane. However, I'm afraid that the future generations will want to break this new record that you've created. That would be extremely difficult. Ah, Ha ha. The group of ancient powerhouses also burst into laughter. The current Xiaohan seemed to be on equal footing with these ancient giants. That's right, Xiaohan has great potential. Once he reached the talisman shaping realm or talisman formation realm, it would not be impossible for him to defeat these ancient giants. Moreover, when Xiaohan himself became an ancient giant, he would probably shatter the void. He had ascended to the heavens. Xiaohan was neither servile nor overbearing. Seniors, please don't overestimate Xiaohan. Expanded acupoint realm. He was just laying the foundation. Xiaohan knew this very well. Therefore, Xiaohan will not become complacent just because of this little achievement. Alright. Xiaohan, you're neither arrogant nor rash. This is much better than us. I've heard that in the past people said that you're a vile person. Now it seems, you're not a vile person. You're very open-minded. Very good. The elementary scholar said solemnly. Yes, Xiaohan, the expanded acupoint realm is laying the foundation. Strictly speaking, the expanded acupoint realm is not battle power. The record you've created in the expanded acupoint realm is too glorious. This made your starting point much higher than the rest of us. In the future, your cultivation will be to constantly challenge yourself, defeat yourself, refresh yourself, and constantly defy the heavens. The path of cultivation is like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't advance, you'll fall behind. You indeed need to work harder and accumulate your strength. You need to make the most perfect accumulation for transforming true essence into talismans. You must not slack off. However, Xiaohan, it will be more difficult for you to accumulate for the talisman shaping realm. The other primordial ancient overlord nodded in agreement. Xiaohan, ordinary training and experience won't be able to change your mind anymore. Xiaohan, your talisman shaping realm will be very difficult. More difficult than us. Yes, if the starting point was too high and the achievements were too glorious, it would be extremely harsh on cultivation. It would not be easy to improve to the next level. Simply put, Xiaohan's starting point was much higher than the rest of the ancient giants present. It would be many times more difficult for him to break through than the rest of the ancient giants. Xiaohan, don't worry. Our Yaoxia Pagoda will do our best to nurture you. As for how to nurture you, we'll have to wait until the pagoda master and the elders come out of seclusion. The elementary scholar said. I believe the pagoda master and the elders will be overjoyed when they find out about your glory. Ah. Let's have a big date? Xiaohan laughed dryly. However, he did not think much of it. It was not like Xiaohan had never seen the pagoda master's face. This time, it is said that there is a message from the immortal world. This is a very rare occurrence in our plane. I wonder if there will be any fortuitous encounter. The elementary scholar frowned. However, Xiaohan, don't worry. If there is something good, you will definitely get it. I hope so, Xiaohan said calmly. Right now, Xiaohan's greatest worry was that the immortal world would find out that he had the demon god's egg, and they would put him on the wanted list. I, Xiaohan, I am definitely not the reincarnation of an immortal. There's no such thing. Aha, Xiaohan, it doesn't matter if this is true or not. Hurry back and have sex with your 2 little wives. With your monstrous talent, you can give birth to children, and all of them will inherit your perfect genes. From then on, this plane will have a large group of geniuses. Ha ha ha. Wu Li and the others also laughed in agreement. At the top of the Demon Hero Tower, the 13 spirit storms were having a serious discussion. Naturally, they didn't know what had happened in the outside world, such as Xiaohan returning to the Demon Hero region alive and creating the history of the expanding Meridian realm. They were discussing the candidates to enter the Genius Zone. Genius Zone. In the history of the immortal world, the third-ranked Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao, left behind some special restrictions on the outermost layer. At the same time, there were also a large number of immortal treasures. There were even countless immortal pills, immortal chi and immortal technique manuals. This Genius Zone had strict requirements for those who entered. 1. Immortals who entered would die. 2. Those who were over 10,000 years old would die. In addition, the immortal world didn't just send a message to Xiaohan's plane about Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's treasure. This message had been sent to countless ordinary planes. This meant that there would be an endless number of peerless demons from various planes who met the requirements to enter the Genius Zone, to search for treasures. This meant that there would be an extremely cruel competition. The immortal world also wanted to use the human beings from ordinary planes to open the Genius Zone. This was because there were more than one layer of barriers to Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's treasure. However, the outermost layer, the Genius Zone, did not allow immortals to enter. there might not be such a requirement for the deeper layers. Of course, once the genius zone was opened, if immortals were allowed to enter the next layer, then the demons from ordinary planes would lose their value and would no longer have any chance to continue searching for treasures. Therefore, if the demons from ordinary planes wanted to obtain treasures, there was almost only one chance: the genius zone. The voice of the pagoda master rumbled, "All right, after discussion and selection, we've finally selected the candidates to enter the genius zone. Now we'll prepare to exit seclusion. Before exiting seclusion, send a private message about Immortal Emperor Ju Dao's treasure and the genius zone to every ancient giant. However, tell them to keep it a secret. After that, send a private message to every demon that has passed our selection and meets the requirements to enter the genius zone. Tell them to prepare." "Yes, Pagoda Master." "Pagoda Master, I'm sure that the higher echelons of the human race from other planes have already decided on their candidates like us. Just thinking about it makes me excited. I don't know if the chivalrous heroes of other planes are stronger or weaker than ours. There's no need to guess. Soon, the immortal world will release the spatial coordinates of Immortal Emperor Ju Dao's treasure and guide us to explore it. At that time, the demons from our plane will start a competition with the demons from other planes." The voice of the Pagoda Master also contained uncontrollable trembling and excitement. To be continued. Chapter 400. The highest floor of the Devil Hero Pagoda. The Pagoda Master and the elders were still sorting out and arranging the candidates to enter the genius zone. All right, the candidates have been decided. First, they have to be under 10,000 years old. After that, we won't consider those below the talisman transformation stage. If they don't reach the talisman transformation stage, they'll just be courting death, the Pagoda Master said. Then, Pagoda Master, I'll repeat the candidates, an elder said respectfully. All right, the Pagoda Master snorted. After sorting and screening, there are 102 people who meet the requirements to enter the genius zone in our Devil Hero world, the elder said solemnly. The elder said solemnly, among them, the one who has the highest chance of winning glory for our realm in the genius zone and bringing back celestial treasures is Yan Qi, an ancient powerhouse ranked 77th on the Devilman ranking. Tower Master, this Yan Qi is the brightest star in our realm of the monster warriors. His actual age is only over 9,000 years old, but he's already in the ranks of the ancient giants. He's younger than many of the ancient giants. At the true treasure stage, one's true chi can transform into a celestial treasure. A casual attack from him has the power to destroy heaven and earth. Tower Master, although Yan Qi's ranking isn't too high among the ancient era's powerhouses, he's indeed the youngest. There's a chance for him to obtain a celestial treasure in the genius zone, another elder said with a smile. Yes, I think highly of Yan Qi. He's the only true treasure stage expert we've selected, the Pagoda Master said with certainty. Yan Qi. He must enter the genius zone. Pagoda Master. Apart from Yan Qi. As for the remaining 101 places, they will all be chosen from the ancient giants, the elder continued. Among the 101 ancient giants, 95 are at the 7th level talisman transformation stage and 6 are at the 8th level talisman formation stage. After pausing for a moment, the elder regretfully said, "This is our realm's strongest lineup under 10,000 years old. Unfortunately, there are some ancient giants who are powerful. However, they've just passed 10,000 years old and lost this rare opportunity. 102 ancient giants. 1 ancient giant. 101 ancient giants. In terms of realms, there was 1 true treasure realm, 6 talisman formation realm, and 95 talisman shaping realm." After a moment of silence, an elder said hesitantly, "Tower Master, isn't the lineup of our plane a little thin?" "It's fine," the Pagoda Master said. "It's already not bad to be able to select 102 people to enter the genius zone. Perhaps the other planes won't be able to select so many candidates." "That's true. Private message now." He passed the news to all the ancient powerhouses and the 102 candidates. After sending the message, "We have come out of seclusion. Also, gather the candidates who will enter the genius zone and ask them to come to the Yaoxia Tower in secret to discuss this important matter," the Tower Master ordered. In this vast universe, there was a distinction between the upper and lower realms. The upper realm was a high-level space that was occupied by human immortals and high-level demons. Both sides were equally matched. As for the lower realms, there were billions upon billions of them. They were like the eternal sands of the universe, like sesame seeds or mung beans. The distance between an ordinary plane and an adjacent ordinary plane was extremely far. One had to traverse the vast expanse of time and space to reach it. Moreover, there were all sorts of destructive energies in the vast expanse of time and space, such as peck wind, black lightning, blue fire, sky fire, black hole, spatial fragments, meteor flows. Ordinary humans and demons with slightly lower cultivation bases did not dare to fly in the vast expanse of space. Moreover, in an unstable space one could not teleport. Moreover, it was extremely easy to lose one's direction when traveling blindly in space. Then, one would fall in the universe and become a speck of dust. Therefore, very few living beings could travel from one plane to another. As a matter of fact, it wasn't impossible. For example, in the plane that Xiao Han was in, the Yaoxia leader, the pagoda master, should have the ability to travel to the nearest neighboring plane. But he did not dare to. First, to successfully travel to the nearest neighboring plane, the consumption was too great. The consumption of time, energy and vital energy was extremely frightening. Secondly, there were unknown dangers in other planes. Not only could they be attacked by the demon clan from other planes, but they could also be seen as invaders by the human clan from other planes. The Tower Master had also attempted to travel through the universe to other planes. However, he had given up on this grand journey a few months after he set off and returned in low spirits. Even so, every living being in an ordinary plane knew that there must be other living beings like them in the universe. This was a plane shaped like a planet. It was mainly dark red in color and emitted a scorching heat that could burn mountains and boil seas. The light around this plane was extremely distorted. However, the spirit chi of heaven and earth was extremely abundant in this plane. There were some crystal-like objects floating in the air. They were crystals formed by highly condensed spiritual chi. If humans used them to cultivate spiritual chi, they would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. The effect was many times better than ordinary spiritual chi of heaven and earth. In the center of this plane stood a tower-shaped building that was tens of thousands of feet tall. Ancient, mysterious, great. It was the Yaoxia Pagoda. Around the Yaoxia Pagoda, there were many flaming mountains floating in the air. At this moment, a figure with waist-length crimson hair was floating in the air. His entire body was faintly bathed in flames. He was 7 to 8 meters tall. Beside him stood many powerful human vital energy cultivators. Faint immortal chi was enshrouding them. And under his feet, on the red ground, there were thousands of powerful human vital energy cultivators kneeling. Everyone, you are all the most talented young people in this plane. You are all under 10,000 years old. However, although you are young, many of you have reached the Talisman Formation realm and the True Treasure realm. Some of them have even stepped into the Celestial Eye realm. That person's hair was scarlet red. The crimson-haired giant bathed in boiling flames. He let out a thunderous voice. As he breathed, runes intertwined and rumbled. The majestic voice reverberated in the ears of the thousands of human vital energy cultivators kneeling on the ground. The demons in this plane are about to be completely wiped out by us demons. Wiping out the demons is no longer the goal of this plane. Now we must pursue immortal fate. Yes, we humans have cultivated to the highest realm. We can become immortals. We can ascend. However, we lack opportunities. And now, the opportunity is here. In the history of the immortal world, the third-ranked immortal Emperor Judao left behind treasures. At the outermost layer of the treasures, there are restrictions set up. Immortals cannot enter. This gives us a chance. The Genius Zone. That is the so-called Genius Zone. Immortal treasures are piled up like mountains. Ha ha ha, the giant in the flames was like a god. He let out a wild laughter that shook the heavens. Countless ordinary planes, human heroes under the age of 10,000 years old. They will all enter the Genius Zone and carry out the cruelest competition. And I believe, our plane will be the final winner. The final winner. Ah, young demons, are you ready? This is the chance to become immortal. I hope you will not disappoint me. Yes, Tower Master. More than 1,000 strong human true chi cultivators all raised their heads and roared. Their eyes were full of fighting spirit and crazy confidence. Tower Master, please be at ease. We will definitely crush those overconfident fellows from other planes. You are entrusted with the hope and glory of our plane. A deep and hoarse voice rang out. On the peak of a giant mountain range that was as black as a dragon and stretched for millions of miles, a tall and burly man stood there. His entire body was covered in black scale armor, and he was dozens of feet tall. The space around him froze. In the mountains, a large number of human true chi cultivators prostrated themselves. All of their expressions were very respectful. Just by standing there, the huge man in black scale armor emitted an aura that made people's hearts tremble. Go fight for glory. Also fight for the survival of our plane. In our plane, the demon race is powerful while the human race is weak. Many fertile lands have been occupied by the demon race. Magnificent rivers and mountains have been reduced to demon lands. Now, the 81 warriors that I have selected will shoulder the future of our plane. Go. Enter the genius zone. Obtain fortuitous encounters. Obtain immortal fate. Use your lives to defend your dignity. Become strong. Strong enough to expel and kill all the demons in this plane. The giant man in black scale armor had an aura like that of a god that split the heavens and earth. Between his eyebrows, there was dignity and determination. Yes, Tower Master. Fight for the plane. Fight for survival and reproduction. We, the demon heroes, will not shrink from a fight. The 81 demon heroes stood up resolutely. Competitors from other planes, get out of the way. Whoever dares to stop us from obtaining the immortal treasure will die. On a green planet, the whole planet was lush with plants. Naga, you are the most dazzling young man in our plane. When you were in the Meridian Expansion realm, you completed 10 times of Meridian Expansion and accumulated a glorious achievement of 2,000 times. And now, you have reached the peak of the Talisman Transformation realm. You have refined the Talisman 10 times and increased the quality of your true chi by 1,000 times. In our plane, among the human race cultivators of the same age, you are the strongest. And you are only 3,400 years old now. You are too young. Perhaps, among the human race demon heroes of the same age in other planes, you will be an invincible existence. This time I will let you enter the genius zone to search for immortal fate. You must not disappoint me. This time, you will enter the genius zone and compete with the human race demon heroes of other planes. What you will fight for is not only treasures but also fate. Do you understand, Naga? A bald old man in a white robe said slowly. On his forehead, there was a black eyeball that emitted a whirlpool-like power, as if it wanted to swallow the whole world. Beside him, there was a chestnut-haired young man in hemp clothes with a sword on his back. His expression was extremely cold. Suddenly, around this old man in a white robe and the chestnut-haired young man in hemp clothes, many ferocious and terrifying demons appeared. Demon Chi soared to the sky. Naga, these are 1,000 ultimate variant demon emperors. I used my divine ability to capture them from the demon capital. Now, I want you to kill all of these 1,000 ultimate variant demon emperors within 30 breaths. Can you do it? Tisk, the corner of the chestnut-haired young man's mouth twitched disdainfully. In the next moment, a blood-red sword light lit up. The figure of the chestnut-haired young man suddenly became blurry and almost disappeared. Puff, 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 puff. Immediately after, the sword light spread out like a tide. Demon blood splattered everywhere. In an extremely short period of time, a total of 1,000 ultimate variant demon emperors were all killed. One by one, their demon bodies were cut into pieces by the sword light. 25 breaths. The chestnut-haired young man in hemp clothes smiled coldly. Ah, good. Naga, get ready to enter the genius zone. Ah, bring back some immortal pills for me. The old man in white robe laughed with satisfaction. Your great accomplishment sword intent is already perfect and impeccable. It can kill any existence that tries to provoke you. Ah. Dong 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 dong, a shirtless big man ran quickly with bare feet. In front of him, the tip of a tall tower could be vaguely seen. The big man suddenly stopped. Under the sky full of sunlight, the corner of his mouth twitched arrogantly. The Tower Master sent me a message saying that there is some immortal cave abode asking me to explore. Good, very good, genius zone? Sounds pretty good. Dong dong, dong dong, the big man continued to run. Behind him, there was a mountain of demon emperor corpses. In a plain with a vast area. There was not a bit of demon chi in this plain. The sky was blue and clear. The human race lived in peace and contentment. As early as 100,000 years ago, all the demon race in this plain had been killed by the demon warriors of the human race. Extinct. A continuous mountain range rose and fell. On a towering mountain peak, there was an ancient palace built on it. The entire surface of the palace wall was covered with all kinds of complicated carvings. In the main hall of the palace, on the throne, there was a purple-eyed man wearing a bright white robe. His eyes seemed to be looking from another space, making people's hearts palpitate and collapse. On both sides below him, there were hundreds of indescribably powerful creatures of the human race. Each of them faintly emitted a fluctuation that made the heaven and earth tremble, as if they could tear the heaven and earth apart with just a raise of their hands. Tower Master, our plane has achieved the great unification of the human race for 100,000 years. We are a relatively strong plane among the many ordinary planes. In the history, a total of 12 immortals have broken the void and ascended from our plane. But now the immortal chi of our plane is almost exhausted. Therefore we have lost the chance to condense the immortal body and ascend to the immortal world. A red-robed middle-aged man reported to the white-robed man with purple eyes. Yes, the resources have been exhausted by the sages. So we can't condense the immortal body for a long time. I also gradually feel that my life is approaching the end. Although I'm called immortal, it doesn't mean I won't die. Unless I can condense the immortal body, become an immortal, and ascend to the immortal world, then become immortal. If I don't become an immortal, there's no need to talk about anything. My soul will shatter and turn into powder. There was a hint of loneliness in the white-robed man's eyes. But very quickly, his eyes burned with a crazy excitement. Now's our chance. There are endless immortal pills in the genius zone that can help us all become immortals. It's time for our warriors to prepare to enter the genius zone. The humans of other planes are lowly. No plane can compete with the geniuses of our plane. None? The white-robed man with purple eyes let out an enraged roar. An invisible aura burst out from his body, melting the surrounding space into nothingness. Any living being that stands in our way will be destroyed. If anyone dares to jump out, I'll destroy their plane. His maniacal roar reverberated across the vast plain. To be continued? Chapter 401. The cloud that was as white as cotton floated in the sky. Its speed seemed slow, but it was actually extremely fast. Xiao Han stood on top of the cloud and looked down at the mountains and rivers. He was in a good mood. A warm feeling of returning home welled up in his heart. At this moment, Xiao Han was like a prodigal son who had been traveling in a foreign country for many years. He was finally returning to his gentle and clean home. What awaited him was a beautiful wife. Everything was perfect. The only flaw was that Xiao Yunrong was still missing. This left a shadow in Xiao Han's heart. Wu Yu, Xiao Mingqiu and the others were in a good mood as well. They spoke freely along the way. What made Xiao Han very happy was that his sect leader and senior brothers did not have a generation gap with him because of the monstrous talent he showed when he expanded his meridian points. The sect leader was still the sect leader. His eldest senior brother was still the eldest senior brother. His senior brother Dongfang and Fang Ling's attitude towards him was the same as before. When Xiao Han looked at the sect leader and his senior brothers, a feeling of kinship arose in his heart. We're almost at the Unity Mountain range. Xiao Han closed his eyes in extreme comfort, a greedy expression on his face. I seem to smell the unforgettable scent of the Unity Mountain range. The mountains, the water, the flowers, the trees, ha ha ha. Seeing Xiao Han's expression, Wu Yu and the others could not help but laugh. Moreover, they could clearly feel that Xiao Han did not change at all. At least in front of them, he was still the simple young Xiao Han from before. Xiao Han, how do you plan to cultivate after we return to the sect? Wu Yu slightly withdrew his smile. Your current talent is very terrifying. Once you transform your true chi into a true talisman, your terrifying accumulation in the meridian expansion stage will transform it into your combat strength. This is no small matter. Yes, junior brother Xiao Han, once you enter the talisman transformation stage, you'll reach the heavens in one step. You'll definitely reach the heavens in one step. Xiao Mingqiu said seriously. Junior brother Xiao Han, my current true chi cultivation is at the level 8 talisman formation stage. However, if you enter the talisman formation stage, you will be able to enter the talisman formation stage. However, if you enter the talisman transformation stage, I'm afraid I won't be your match. You're exaggerating, senior brother, Xiao Han hurriedly said humbly. Soon after, he said with a faint smile. Master, after I return to the sect, I'll need to rest and recuperate. I'll relax to my heart's content and go sightseeing. That's not bad. Wu Yu nodded. Xiao Han 10 times. You've also used up a lot of energy. I do need some time to recuperate. Xiao Han laughed. Sect leader. Disciples' achievement of expanding acupoints may seem glorious, but it has also set up obstacles for my future cultivation. Now that I want to break through, I naturally have to rise with the tide. It's not that easy. This disciple is also worried that I won't be able to obtain better tempering from now on. My temperament and potential will be restricted from then on, and it will be difficult for me to improve. Wu Li nodded thoughtfully and then said in a low voice. Xiaohan, if I'm not wrong, before you expanded your meridians, you must have accumulated a heaven-defying amount of energy. What did you do? This. Xiaohan hesitated for a moment, but still spoke bluntly. Disciple went to the demon capital. What? As soon as he said this, Wu Liuyu, the heaven's devil old man, Fatty Zhu, Xiao Mingqiu, Dongfang Qin, and Fang Ling all jumped up. Their faces were filled with disbelief as they stared at Xiaohan like statues. You actually went to the demon capital. The higher-ups of the Demon Hero Pagoda actually arranged for you to go to the demon capital? The demon capital is our plane, the nest of the demon race. The human race's ancient giants, even the Tower Master, don't dare to enter. Going there means death. Xiaohan, you actually went and returned. Wu Li was moved. Sect leader, you're calm, Xiaohan said with a bitter smile. As for what I went to the demon capital for, it's not convenient for me to say it clearly. In short, I killed some ultimate variant demon emperors and even confronted the 10 great demon emperors of the demon race. Yes, the accumulation I needed to expand my acupoints were all obtained in the demon capital. That's why I said that it's not so easy to accumulate and break through to the talisman transformation realm now. Do I have to go to the demon capital again? Try to kill a few demon emperors? Xiaohan was also speechless. If he didn't go to the demon capital, Xiaohan would probably not be able to accumulate anything to help him break through to the talisman transformation realm. Forget it, sect leader, senior brothers, senior heavenly devil, senior Zhu, let's not talk about this anymore. In terms of cultivation, I'm not in a hurry. It's better to empty my mind and rest in peace. We'll talk about it after a while. Xiaohan relaxed. In this way, Wu Li and the others no longer asked Xiaohan anything. However, they were all secretly clicking their tongues. Their hearts were in turmoil and it was difficult for them to calm down. Several hours later, the white cloud finally floated into the territory of the southern region's Fire Beacon Empire. The continuous mountain range appeared in Xiaohan's field of vision, causing Xiaohan to sweep away his fatigue and become extremely excited. The mountain range. Ancient vines accompanied old trees, small bridges and flowing water. The beautiful and winding mountain range meandered around like a sleeping dragon. The birds flew high, and the lonely cloud was idle. White clouds filled the air and the clouds lingered. The mountain peaks poked out of the clouds like hibiscus emerging from the water. The ethereal white cloud lingered in the air above the mountain range. Hu! Xiaohan looked down at the mountain range and let out a breath of impure air. His heart immediately became peaceful and happy without any worries. He quietly stood up. Many memory fragments came to him like a tide. This caused Xiaohan to remember everything that happened in the Pure Cloud sect. In the past, Xiaohan felt sorry for himself and felt indignant about his identity as a living target. But now, his cultivation had succeeded, and his mental state had improved. When he returned to the Pure Cloud sect, it felt like a lifetime had passed. Unexpectedly, he felt relieved about that experience. He treated it as the most precious memory in his life. Xiaohan breathed in the unique and familiar scent of the mountain range and heard the sound of the mountain spring. An indescribable feeling filled every cell in Xiaohan's body, causing Xiaohan to suddenly feel extremely moved. He felt a childish admiration for the mountain range. I was born and raised here in the lofty mountains. It is my hometown my entire life. In my life I will definitely protect it. At this time Xiaohan finally understood. Why was Wu Yu's true Qi realm so tyrannical? He was ranked high on the monster cultivator ranking, but he had always been guarding the mountain range. This was also Wu Yu's hometown. Haha, Xiaohan, quickly return to your mountain peak. Yan Shui and Shirong have been waiting for you bitterly. Wu Yu laughed. All right, sect master. Then this disciple will not stand on ceremony. While speaking, Xiaohan jumped in the air and directly jumped towards the mountain peak that belonged to him. Ha, this kid, Dongfang Qin and Fang Ling both laughed out loud. You're really impatient. Xiao Mingqiu also winked. Wu Yu, Heaven's Devil Old Man, and Big Fatty Zhu couldn't help but laugh. Suddenly Heaven's Devil Old Man said with a smile that was not a smile. Brother Wu, this mountain range of yours really gathers the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. That's how it nurtures a genius like Xiaohan. Yes. This time, Qingtong has returned from the great wilderness. I asked her to come over and stay for a while. You don't have any objections, right? Wu Yu understood the meaning behind it. He also smiled and said with a deep meaning. This depends on whether Yan Shui and Shirong have any objections. Xiaohan's true inheritance mountain peak. After being separated for several months, Xiaohan was finally reunited with his two beautiful wives. The three of them cried tears of joy. They were so happy that they couldn't control themselves. Under the excitement, Xiao Han directly hugged the two gentle little wives and kissed them on the spot. His hands moved up and down, causing the two women to be flooded with spring tide. A night. The night was as cold as water. The moonlight was graceful. The night was so charming. The gem-like stars in the sky sparkled like mysterious eyes. They blinked and blinked like the gentle eyes of a lover. The crescent moon was like a small boat, freely rowing in the sky. The insects on the mountain were whispering like the most beautiful love song. In the wooden pavilion, something that violated the quiet atmosphere of the night was happening. The sound of men and women intertwining, soft moans, and panting constantly came from the wooden pavilion. It seemed that the entire wooden pavilion was shaking. Until late at night, all kinds of ambiguous sounds came to an abrupt stop. Inside the warm and fragrant bed, Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong tightly wrapped around Xiao Han like an octopus. On their rosy red faces, there was an unconcealable tiredness and satisfaction after a storm. Their eyes were like water, like a dream. From the afternoon when Xiao Han returned, until late at night, Xiao Han had been continuously making love with his two lovely wives. Never stopping, extremely crazy. Xiao Han's physical body was tyrannical. Thus, even if he indulged himself for a while, it would not be a problem. As for the two women, they could not endure it for the first time. However, their love for Xiao Han was too deep, so they tried their best to please him and satisfy the only man in their lives. "Uncle, you made me so painful. I can't even move." Jing Yanxue buried her head in Xiao Han's chest and said shyly. Lan Shirong opened her starry eyes and looked at Xiao Han tenderly. "Uncle, how long are you going to stay today? Are you in a hurry to go train again?" "Yes." Xiao Han thought for a while and then patted his two lovely wives' snow-white buttocks, causing them to moan and pant. Xiao Han said with a smile, "I will stay a little longer this time." "That's right, Yanxue Shirong, you are from the Valley of Medicine Masters and are good at refining pills, right?" Yes. The two women replied in unison. However, Lan Shirong's expression darkened. "However, uncle, the pills we refine will no longer be of any help to your cultivation. Your cultivation is too strong and your realm is too high. The ordinary pills we refine will not be of any use to you." "That's right." An idea flashed in Xiao Han's mind. "You have the foundation of refining pills, and you also have the talent and ability to refine pills. You just lack a decent teacher. Why don't I introduce you to a teacher? You can learn the art of refining pills from him." "Teacher?" The two women were taken aback. "Uncle, the teacher you speak of, compared to our valley head of the Valley of Medicine Masters, who is better?" Jing Yanxue asked weakly. Ha. Valley head of the Valley of Medicine Masters? He is trash," Xiao Han said proudly. "Let me tell you, the teacher I am going to introduce to you is the most outstanding alchemist in this realm. He is also the most talented alchemist in all the realms. Sure, his name is Yen Lang." "Yeah?" Yen. The two women had heard of the infamous name of the greatest traitor of the human race and immediately exclaimed in shock. Xiao Han, to be continued. Chapter 402. Because his two wives, Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong, were from the Medicine King Valley, a sect that had been concocting pills for generations. The two women had extraordinary talent and foundation for concocting pills. Therefore, Xiao Han suddenly had an idea to let his two young wives learn martial arts from Yen Lang. This was a great opportunity. In terms of concocting pills, Yen Lang was indeed the best in the world. His attainments were divine. Although Yen Lang had become Xiao Han's slave, he was not one of them. If Yen Lang's divine technique was not passed down, it would be a waste if it was destroyed one day. Therefore, Xiao Han's idea quickly took shape and he had already made up his mind. "Okay, keep it a secret for me. Don't tell anyone about Yen Lang. After I have arranged everything, I will let you see Yen Lang." The two women calmed down a little, and then their beautiful eyes were intoxicated as they nodded repeatedly. It was an indescribably amorous scene. Soon the whole room was filled with spring again. Xiao Han did not know how many plum blossoms had bloomed today. Just like that, Xiao Han stayed in the pure mountain range. He forgot about his worries and did not cultivate. He relaxed and even enjoyed life to his heart's content, playing chess, fishing, planting flowers, reading, traveling, playing in the water, carrying beauty, playing, lingering. Originally, Xiao Han wanted to catch up with Acho. However, after Acho stepped into the true Qi realm, he cultivated even harder than before. At this time he had already followed some senior true disciples of the Pure Mountain sect to the depths of the northern region to hunt the demon race and train his spirit and fighting spirit. It was said that Ah Cho seemed to have awakened and had reached the second level of true Qi realm. In the secular world, it was enough to be conferred a title. On this day Pure Mountain sect. Oh, Xiaohan, Wu Wei, Xiao Mingqiu, Fong Ling Dongfang Qin, and the others gathered together and chatted casually, drinking tea and admiring flowers. Xiaohan, with your current combat strength, it is very easy for you to hunt the demon race. Below the demon emperor, you are invincible. In this way, the various missions issued by the demon hero tower are not meaningful to you. Wu Wei took a sip of tea and looked at Xiaohan with a faint smile. After a short pause, the dark-haired monster continued. Xiaohan, I suggest you not to cultivate any true Qi divine technique for the time being. Xiaohan was slightly taken aback. Xiao Mingqiu explained from the side. Yes, the sect master was right. Xiaohan, even though your meridians have expanded by 1,000 times, and your foundation is so strong that it's almost abnormal. However, the expanded acupoint realm was still a form of accumulation. It could not be converted into immediate combat power. Xiaohan, with your current pure true Qi, you should be able to use it as an example. They were not even comparable to some peak talisman transformation realm existences. Therefore, Xiaohan, you can't blindly cultivate true Qi techniques. You should know. Some unparalleled divine arts and great Jinqi secret arts had extremely high requirements for pure Jinqi. Xiaohan, if you cultivate those low-quality true Qi divine arts now, when your realm increases in the future, you'll need to look for stronger true Qi divine arts. There's no need to go through all this trouble. Let's directly charge into the talisman transformation realm and then cultivate the supreme divine technique. It'll be done in one step. That's right, Xiaohan. As long as you enter the talisman shaping realm, you'll be able to cultivate the strongest technique of the Pure Cloud sect, the Pure Cloud Great Vital Qi. Wu Yu looked at Xiaohan with a burning gaze. Xiaohan, this Pure Cloud Great Vital Qi is my life's ultimate technique. I hope that you will be able to cultivate it in the future, so that this true Qi divine art will flourish in your hands. Yes, sect master. Xiaohan nodded heavily. Then, disciple will strive to enter the talisman shaping realm as soon as possible. After a pause, Xiaohan smiled. That's right. If I want to cultivate a true Qi divine art, I'll cultivate the strongest one. Otherwise, I won't cultivate it at all. Originally, on the surface of Xiaohan's heart, the various runes that sealed the demon egg also recorded a large number of divine arts and immortal techniques. However, Xiaohan did not dare to touch them. The runes that had been shattered by the demon god's aura were currently repairing themselves. These runes were used to seal the demon god's egg and slow down the speed at which the demon god's egg was growing. Xiaohan definitely did not dare to act rashly. After chatting for a while, Xiaohan's eyes flickered and he suddenly spoke. Sect master, disciple has a question? Xiaohan, what's the matter? Speak your mind. Wu Yu said amiably. I see. Xiaohan pondered for a moment, then said. Disciple wants to control a human, so that the human would not dare to betray disciple at any time, even to the extent that he would be dead loyal to disciple. May I ask what method disciple should use? Ha. Xiao Mingqiu laughed and then said decisively. Use poison. Xiaohan was stunned. For example, I know of an ancient medicine called the Three Corpses Brain Divine Pill. According to legend, this medicine contains 3 types of corpse worms. After consuming it, there are no abnormalities. However, during the Dragon Boat Festival every year, if one does not consume the antidote to the corpse worms in time, the corpse worms will break out of their shells. Once it enters the brain, the person who consumes this medicine will act like a ghost or a demon. He will even bite and eat his parents, wife and children. Junior brother Xiaohan, if you want to forcefully control him, then buy some Three Corpses Brain Divine Pill, and make him consume it. Every year, threaten him with the antidote so that he will listen to you wholeheartedly. Xiao Mingqiu said directly. Of course, this kind of poison has no effect on humans above the talisman shaping realm or the talisman shaping realm. Junior brother Xiaohan, what realm is the human you want to control? Use poison? Xiaohan shook his head slightly. To control ordinary people using the Three Corpses Brain Divine Pill was indeed enough. However, Yin Lang was the ancestor of medicine refinement. He could make the antidote in seconds. Other than using poison? Xiaohan hesitated for a moment. Using poison is indeed a bad idea. Wu Yu looked at Xiaohan. Xiaohan, I know of a secret technique that can control people's minds. Sect Master, please speak, Xiaohan immediately said. Although Yen Lang said that he would submit, he was cunning and full of tricks. He didn't spend so many years in the demon metropolis for nothing. Therefore, keeping Yen Lang by his side would always be a disaster. Unless he could find a way to control him perfectly so that he would not betray him. This secret technique is called purification, Wu Yu said with a smile. This is an incomplete page that I found in a ruin in the depths of the wasteland. I've studied it, and it seems to be a Buddhist cultivation technique left behind by a mysterious human from an ancient time who came from another plane. Practicing this technique can purify people's minds. Condense your own mental energy into wish power and Zen light and inject it into the other party's brain. This way, even if the other party has an irreconcilable feud with you and killed your family and took away your wife and daughter, under the shine of Zen light, your hatred will be dissolved and you will be purified. They will worship you devoutly. So powerful? Fang Ling and Dongfang Qin exclaimed. Xiaohan's eyes also lit up. Wu Yu waved his hand and signaled everyone to be quiet. Then he continued. However, firstly, this secret skill is incomplete. It is practically impossible to practice it. Secondly, it is too difficult to practice this secret skill. The reason for that is because this purification secret skill does not rely on one's true energy. Instead, it relies on one's mental energy. Condense your mental energy into Zen light and wish power and inject it into the other party's brain to purify and control them. If there is a slight deviation, you may be attacked by the other party's mental energy. Also, the success rate of this secret technique is not high. Wu Yu shook his head slightly. The other party's mental energy must be countless times weaker than yours in order to be able to forcibly purify. If both parties have the same mental energy, unless the other party is willing and does not resist at all. If both parties are willing and even cooperate with each other, then there is a possibility of success. Oh, that's too difficult, too harsh. Hearing this, even Xiao Mingqiu shook his head. As for Xiaohan, he blurted out, Sect leader, can you bestow this purify secret technique to me? I want to study it. No problem, I can give it to you. Wu Yu nodded his head and immediately reminded him. However, Xiaohan, this secret technique is still considered to be an evil method and not orthodox. You can study it a little, but you cannot go to a dead end and end up going berserk. Sect Master, don't worry. In terms of mental energy, I still have some confidence in myself. Xiaohan smiled. Alright, I will pass the incomplete secret technique to you later. Wu Yu nodded. At this moment, Xiao Mingqiu's expression changed slightly and he said with a strange expression. Someone sent me a message through the Yin Chivalrous token. It's true. I rarely turn on the communication function of the Yin Chivalrous token, but I still received a message. Annoying, really annoying. Forget it, I will turn off the communication function of the Yin Chivalrous token. For peace and quiet. Saying this, Xiao Mingqiu took out his Yin Chivalrous token and was about to turn off the communication function. Suddenly, Xiao Mingqiu's expression froze. His mental energy directly entered the Yin Chivalrous token. Moreover, after a few breaths, Xiao Mingqiu's expression became more and more excited. His breathing became heavy and his whole body trembled. Mingqiu, Wu Yu said doubtfully. Eldest senior brother, you? Xiaohan also looked at Xiao Mingqiu in confusion. Don't speak for now. The pagoda master personally sent me a message. Xiao Mingqiu blurted out. The pagoda master came out of seclusion and sent me a private message. This is no small matter. This is no small matter. It concerns the celestial world. Saying this, Xiao Mingqiu once again sent his mental energy into the Yin Chivalrous token. He stopped talking and looked frightened. About the celestial world? Hearing this, Wu Yu, Fang Ling and Dongfang Qin all held their breath. As for Xiaohan, his heart tightened. The pagoda master finally came out of seclusion? What message did the celestial world send? And he even sent a private message to eldest senior brother? Xiaohan was also a little uneasy. The scene was silent. After a few hundred breaths, Xiao Mingqiu carefully kept the Yin Chivalrous token. His face was flushed and his emotions were very unstable. Mingqiu, what's going on? What did the pagoda master tell you to send a private message? Wu Yu looked directly at Xiao Mingqiu. Phew, Xiao Mingqiu let out a long breath, raised his head and said word by word. The opportunity has come. The great opportunity has come. To be continued. Chapter 403. Xiao Mingqiu said repeatedly. A great opportunity had arrived and his words were astonishing. He was extremely excited and couldn't control himself. Xiaohan's heart was also in turmoil. One must know that this eldest senior brother of his had always been lazy. It was as if he didn't care about anything at all, and he rarely lost his composure like this. What kind of private message did the pagoda master send to eldest senior brother? It actually caused this eldest senior brother, who was as steady as a rock, to have a mental breakdown? Mingchu, you have to be steady, Wu Xiaolong repeatedly said. What's going on? Is it convenient for you to say it? Since it was a private message from the pagoda master, Wu De naturally had to seek Xiao Mingchu's opinion. He couldn't force him. The true energy in Xiao Mingchu's body surged. After a long while, his expression gradually returned to normal. He looked around vigilantly and said in a low voice, Sect Master, it was indeed the Tower Master who personally sent a private message to me. There is no doubt about this. Furthermore, the Pagoda Master also strictly ordered the disciples to keep this information a secret. However, Xiao Mingchu suddenly smiled and said nonchalantly, The sky is high and the Emperor is far away, disciple doesn't care so much. There's no need to keep it a secret, disciple will tell you everything in detail. Ha ha ha. Seeing Xiao Mingchu's mischievous expression and attitude, Fang Ling and Dong Fangqin could not help but laugh out loud. Wu Hu could not help but laugh as well. Xiao Han's mind was tense. Then say it. Mingchu, don't worry, we won't leak it out. Wu Li promised. Yes. Xiao Mingchu sorted out his words before his expression fluctuated again. I've been chosen to enter the genius zone. That's why the Tower Master sent a private message to me. He told his disciples to prepare themselves. And it would be in 7 days. He secretly headed to the Yaoxia Tower. He met with the Pagoda Master and many elders. This time, the Pagoda Master only sent a private message to the 100 ancient giants and the 102 people who had been selected to enter the genius zone. The other chivalrous heroes were all kept secret. Sect Master, you are indifferent to fame and fortune. You have not obtained the ranking and title of an ancient giant. You didn't receive the Tower Master's private message either. It's fine, Wu Yu said calmly. It doesn't matter if you send a private message to the sect or not. But does this genius zone have anything to do with the immortal world? Genius zone. Hearing this, Xiao Han was still confused, but his mind instantly relaxed. It looked like the message from the celestial world had nothing to do with the demon god's egg. Yes. The genius zone is closely related to the immortal world. Xiao Mingchu said seriously. Simply put, he was the third most powerful immortal emperor in the history of the immortal world. Immortal Emperor Judao was also known as the immortal emperor with the most treasures in the immortal world. However, he suddenly disappeared from the immortal world. But recently, Immortal Emperor Judao's old nest was found in a huge plain. Immortal Emperor Judao's accumulated wealth and immortal treasures are sealed in this lair. See. Hearing this, Wu Yu could not help but gasp. Crow blurted out. It said that there are many immortals in the celestial realm. However, ordinary immortals are called true immortals, and there are tens of millions of them. However, there are only a few hundred immortals who can be titled as immortal emperors. This immortal emperor Judao was ranked third in the history of the celestial world. He was terrifying. It's very terrifying. The wealth of his life. I don't dare to imagine, I really don't dare to imagine. Sect leader, that should be a treasure that can topple a nation, right? Xiao Han was also very shocked. Xiao Han, I'll give you an example. Crow looked at Xiao Han. In the celestial realm, the total wealth of an ordinary true immortal's life is equivalent to the total resources of 100 planes like ours. The total wealth of an immortal emperor is equivalent to a true immortal's life savings by 10,000 or even 100,000 times. Since this immortal emperor Judao is known as the immortal with the most treasures in the celestial realm, then, his life savings should be tens of millions of times more than an ordinary true immortal. It might even be more than that. Ah. So terrifying. Xiao Han almost jumped up. In other words, immortal Emperor Judao's wealth might be equivalent to 1 billion planes like ours? This is just the most conservative estimate. Crow's voice trembled. In immortal Emperor Judao's treasure, there must be a large number of immortal elixirs, immortal chi, immortal arts manuals, real magic treasures, immortal formations, offensive immortal weapons, defensive immortal armors. Any of these treasures would be invincible in an ordinary plane like ours. So strictly speaking, we can't use the material wealth of an ordinary plane to compare with immortal Emperor Judao's treasure. Maybe 1 billion, 10 billion, or even 100 billion ordinary planes can't compare with immortal Emperor Judao's treasure. Hearing Crow's words, Fang Ling and Dong Fangqin were even more shocked. Xiao Han was also completely dumbfounded. Mingchu, continue. Crow forcibly restrained his trembling emotions. Now, the celestial realm has already detected the exact spatial coordinates of immortal Emperor Ju Dao's lair. However, immortal Emperor Ju Dao has set up a restriction in his lair. His lair is divided into several layers. The most precious and important treasures are placed in the innermost layer. The outermost layer has a very special restriction. Immortals can't enter it. Only humans under 10,000 years old who have not become immortals can enter. This layer is called the Genius Zone. The celestial realm has already passed this message to hundreds of millions of ordinary planes, so that each ordinary plane can send elites under 10,000 years old to enter the Genius Zone and open the gate. Moreover, the celestial realm has also announced that the celestial realm will not touch the treasures placed in the outermost layer of immortal Emperor Ju Dao's lair. They will share them with the explorers who enter. Xiao Mingqiu swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said blankly, "Sect Master, in other words, the treasure placed in the Genius Zone that we are going to enter is the lowest quality among all the treasures owned by immortal Emperor Ju Dao. However, there are also immortal elixirs and supreme-grade immortal qi. There will also be a lot of immortal arts manuals. Even if we get one immortal elixir, I'm afraid mortals like us can directly condense an immortal body and become immortals." Immortal Emperor's treasure. The celestial realm actually gave us a chance to explore the immortal Emperor's treasure. Crow's voice also became heavy. Yes, Mingqiu, you're right. Even if we only get one immortal elixir, it will be a great fortune for mortals. It will be able to change their fate. Tisk tsk? Immortal elixir, a tonic that only immortals can take. Xiaohan clicked his tongue. He secretly thought in his heart, I don't know if Yen Lang can concoct an immortal elixir. I think he probably can't. After all, he doesn't have the raw materials. He doesn't have any immortal herbs or immortal flowers. This disciple is under 10,000 years old. His true qi cultivation has reached the talisman formation realm. Therefore, he is selected as the candidate to enter the Genius Zone. Xiao Mingqiu looked excited. Sect Master, there are actually many talisman formation realm experts among the ancient giants, but most of them are over 10,000 years old. It is said that in the entire evil hero ranking, there are only 6 evil heroes under 10,000 years old who have reached the talisman formation realm. Including the disciple, there are only 6 of them. It seems like the Tower Master also values the disciple very much. I am also less than 10,000 years old. Why didn't you inform me to go to the Genius Zone? Suddenly, Eastern Bird Monkey took out his evil hero token and checked it repeatedly. That's strange. The Pagoda Master and the Elders did not send me a private message. So I am not qualified to enter the Genius Zone and obtain the immortal elixir? Damn it. Junior brother Fang Ling, your actual age is also far less than 10,000 years old. This. Fang Ling was stunned and immediately said, Senior brother Dong Fang, stop fooling around. We have just entered the cave expansion realm. How can we be qualified to explore the immortal Emperor's treasure? That's right. Wu Li nodded in agreement. The most important problem now is that the immortal world did not only send this information to our plane. Instead, it spread the net and entered every nook and cranny. Countless ordinary planes received the information. In the vast universe, there are many ordinary planes. Million? Billion? No one knows. Every ordinary plane is like our plane. There are humans and demons. The human cultivates true qi and becomes evil heroes. Dongfang, do you think our ordinary plane is strong or weak among the billions of ordinary planes? Wu Xiao looked at Dongfang Qin. This. Dongfang Qin was stunned and immediately scratched his ears and cheeks. This disciple can't say for sure. Sect Master, this disciple guesses that there must be countless ordinary planes that are weaker than our plane. However, there must be countless planes that are stronger than us. Xiao Han continued. Yes. Therefore, there must be many ordinary planes that are stronger than us. What is the situation of those geniuses who are less than 10,000 years old in those planes? There will probably be 8th level true qi, 9th level true qi, and even 10th level true qi. Xiao Han, when you were in the cave expansion realm, you expanded your acupoints by more than 2,000 times. In our plane, this is unprecedented and unparalleled. But what about the other planes? There might be a more monstrous existence than you. Wu Xiao said seriously. That's for sure. Xiao Han did not deny it. There are too many planes and the base number is too large. All kinds of monsters may appear. Maybe in some planes, a newborn baby is in the true qi realm. This is also possible. Therefore, the competition to explore the Fey Emperor's treasure this time will be very intense, even bloody and cruel. A cultivation of the cave expansion realm is not enough. It is no different from courting death. Wu Xiao looked at Dongfang Qin and Fang Ling. Therefore Dongfang Qin, Fang Ling, the two of you don't be angry. Even if the pagoda master allows you to go to the genius zone, my sect will not allow it. Yes, sect master, this disciple's cultivation is too weak. Dongfang Qin sighed. Mingchu, what do you think? Wu Xiao looked at Xiao Mingchu again. Sect master. This disciple naturally wants to enter the genius zone. Xiao Mingchu's eyes were completely burning with determination. That's right. There are countless planes and countless geniuses are pouring into the genius zone. The competition will reach an unimaginable level. My cultivation base is barely passable in this plane, but compared to the experts from other planes, I might not even be able to withstand a single blow. If this disciple fights for it, I might die. However, the immortal emperor's treasure. This is a great opportunity that will not appear in an ordinary plane for billions of years. It can only be encountered and not sought. Now that this opportunity has arrived, this disciple has to fight for it no matter what. I will not hesitate to die. This disciple cultivates true qi to explore the unknown, to prove my Tao, to obtain eternal life. To be immortal, to not die and not perish, I must become an immortal. This disciple will give it his all this time. If I don't give it my all, I will be letting myself down. And good, you have guts. As expected of the top disciple of my cloud sect. Wu Xiao nodded his head in relief. Suddenly Wu Xiao turned his gaze to Xiao Han. Xiao Han, what about you? This disciple also wants to go to the genius zone. Xiao Han blurted out without hesitation. This disciple must go. To be continued? Chapter 404. As soon as he heard Xiao Mingchu mention the words Immortal Emperor Ju Dao, Genius Zone, Immortal Pills and Magic Treasures, Xiao Han's brain was boiling hot. His entire person was inexplicably excited. Every cell in his body that had been silent for a long time became active. I, Xiao Han, must go to the Genius Zone. Xiao Han's determination was as sharp as a blade. In fact, Xiao Han did not make this decision blindly or impulsively. Xiao Han had his own reasons. 1. Immortal Emperor Ju Dao. Forget about this immortal emperor's extraordinary ranking in the history of the celestial world. His title was Invincible Blade. He must have cultivated saber techniques. An immortal emperor who cultivated saber Dao probably had more than the great accomplishment stage in saber intent. He might have comprehended the blade intent to godly stage, which allowed him to cut through time and space and receive the ancient saber soul into his body. He could open the door to the saber realm. Saber intent could kill external demons, internal demons and mental demons. The demon god egg was Xiao Han's mental demon. Bone maggots. Death-reaping talisman. Xiao Han wanted to destroy the demon god egg and kill the demon god soul. It was equivalent to killing the biggest mental demon. He had to comprehend blade intent to godly, or there would be no hope. In this realm, the blade intent to godly stage was only a legend and only existed in theory. As a result, Xiao Han couldn't even follow the map and draw a gourd from it. The probability of Xiao Han comprehending blade intent to godly alone was extremely low. However, if he could enter the lair of a saber Dao immortal emperor, he might be able to gain something. In the lair of immortal emperor Ju Dao, he could comprehend saber intent and cause it to soar. It was not impossible. It was a matter of life and death. Even if there was a chance. No matter how slim it was, Xiao Han did not want to miss it. 2. Treasure. Immortal Emperor Treasure. Endless immortal pills. Immortal Qi. Magical treasures. Celestial technique manuals. It was impossible for these to not be tempting to Xiao Han. Which mortal did not want to have a share of the treasures in the celestial world? 3. Now. Although Xiao Han's meridian expansion was shocking in this realm, his starting point was also higher. To enter the talisman transformation realm, he had to accumulate more than what he had in the demon metropolis. Seriously speaking, this plane could no longer satisfy Xiao Han's needs in terms of accumulation, unless he really entered the demon metropolis to kill the demon thearchs. However, the demon race thearchs were all united and would never leave the demon metropolis easily. Xiao Han wanted to assassinate any of the thearchs. It was almost impossible. And the genius zone included countless ordinary planes of the universe. The super geniuses below 10,000 years old were filled with all kinds of competition, all kinds of deception, all kinds of competition. This was the best battlefield to accumulate accumulations. Just like the expansion of acupoints, the more abundant and vigorous the accumulation, the better the effects of the talismans, allowing one to advance by leaps and bounds. Xiao Han also wanted to go to the genius zone to strengthen his foundation. When it was time to transform into a talisman, it would soar into the sky. 4. If he entered the immortal emperor's nest, he might be able to find another way to deal with the demon god egg. Sect leader, I've made up my mind to follow eldest senior brother to the genius zone to search for the immortal emperor's treasure. Xiao Han's eyes were filled with determination. And? Wu Xiao nodded slightly. Junior brother Xiao Han, you didn't receive the private message that the pagoda master sent you either. I wonder if the pagoda master and the elders will give you a spot to head to the genius zone. Dong Fangqin joked. I have to go even if they don't want to. Xiao Han smiled. The place is not a problem. Wu Xiao said with certainty. Xiao Han, when you broke through to the expanded acupoint realm and created glory, the pagoda master and the elders were in seclusion. Naturally, they don't know about your achievements. Moreover, they don't know that you have returned from the demon metropolis alive. They probably didn't have time to inform you. Xiao Han, you are the most outstanding genius of this plane. You are less than 100 years old. No matter how you look at it, Xiao Han, you are qualified to enter the genius zone. But, Xiao Han, do you really want to go? Xiao Han, in this plane your luck is prosperous. No matter what happens, you will be able to turn misfortune into fortune. However, the peak of prosperity is bound to fall. I'm worried that your luck will coincidentally hit a low point at this time. Moreover, from the other planes, the candidates who entered the genius zone are also geniuses among geniuses. Everyone has their own opportunities and everyone has their own luck. Some of the monstrous geniuses might have even more luck than you. I am worried that your luck will clash. If you are not careful, your luck will be taken away by other monstrous geniuses. Sect Master, this disciple's thoughts are the same as eldest senior brother. Instead of living a mediocre life in this ordinary plane, it is better to go and compete with the elites of the other planes. This is such a great opportunity. This disciple does not want to miss it. Xiao Han said sternly. Wu Xiao was silent for a moment and then burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, good, good. There are no cowards in my pure cloud sect. Mingchu Xiao Han, you can go with ease. Don't let down the reputation of the pure cloud sect. Don't let down the prestige of our plane. If I were 10,000 years younger, I would definitely enter the genius zone like you. What a pity, what a pity. Junior brother Xiao Han, the pagoda master, sent a message. In 7 days, we will secretly go to the Yaoxiao Pagoda to discuss the matter of entering the genius zone. At that time, you and I will go to the Yaoxiao Pagoda hand in hand. The pagoda master should give you a spot, junior brother Xiao Han, Xiao Mingchu said. All right, I will go with eldest senior brother 7 days later. Xiao Han nodded in agreement. Xiao Han. Wu Xiao thought for a moment. Xiao Han, spend these 7 days with Yan Xue and Shirong. Try to leave behind descendants. With your genes, your descendants will definitely be extraordinary geniuses. Their futures will be limitless. Your future after entering the genius zone is unpredictable. Once you die, your soul will be destroyed and you won't be able to revive. It is best if you can leave behind descendants in advance. Pass down the incense to prevent your talent from being destroyed. Yes, sect master, Xiao Han said seriously. All right, you may all disperse. Xiao Han, come with me. I will give you the remnant of the purification secret technique. Wu Xiao nodded lightly at Xiao Han. Yaoxiao Pagoda. The highest level. 13 mental storms swept through everything and runes intertwined. The sun and moon sank. The ancient giant with the appearance of a scholar. He stood in the middle of the 13 mental storms like a rock sculpture. What? Honghe. You said that Xiao Han came back alive? He swaggered into the Yaoxiao Pagoda and killed people to establish his dominance? He killed dozens of Yaoxiao. Even some of the ancient giants were killed by this lawless thief? How powerful! Killing people so brazenly near the Yaoxiao Pagoda was something that had never happened in thousands of years. This is a challenge to our dignity. Provoke the dignity of the entire devil hero world. A spiritual storm violently wriggled, the anger was monstrous, sending out an angry roar. Pagoda Master. Elders Xiao Han did come back alive. However, he said that he disappeared for a few months to complete a secret mission given to him by the Pagoda Master. The obituary that the Pagoda Master published last month was just a trick to confuse people. The ancient giant said. This. The Pagoda Master's voice was slightly heavy. Since Xiao Han came back alive, then, that mission? Did Xiao Han complete that mission? Xiao Han did not mention anything about the mission. I'm not sure either. The ancient giant said. I see. I never thought that. I never thought that. The pagoda master's voice became low. Pagoda master. Xiao Han is a madman, we must kill him. We must punish him severely. Otherwise, whoever is unhappy today will kill in the Yaoxia pagoda, and whoever is unhappy tomorrow will kill in the Yaoxia pagoda again. What will we do? Another elder roared. We can't kill him. The ancient giant said with a frown. Pagoda master and elders, please calm down. Yes, Xiao Han did make a mistake, but he cultivated in seclusion in the Yaoxia pagoda and expanded his meridians 10 times in a row, and his meridians expanded by 2553 times. This kind of genius is destined to become an immortal in the future. He will break through the ages, dominate the 9 prefectures and dominate the world. Xiao Han has not transformed into a talisman yet, but once he transforms his true qi into a true talisman, he will soar to the sky with limitless potential. Killing this kind of person will be a loss to the entire plane. Moreover, this time he will enter the genius zone, to fight against the Yaoxia from other planes for Celestial Emperor Ju Dao's treasure. Our plane seems to be lacking and we only have 102 candidates. Now is the time to use people. With Xiao Han's potential, he will naturally obtain a spot to represent the plane and enter the genius zone. Xiao Han might be able to obtain the Celestial Emperor's treasure for our plane and raise the prestige of our plane. Once he transforms into a talisman, he will dominate the world and be invincible. This. The pagoda master seemed to be thinking. The elders also became silent. After a long time, the accumulated meridians expanded by 2553 times. Indeed, too monstrous. One of the elders finally spoke. This kind of achievement is the best in our plane. Moreover, I'm afraid it will be difficult to achieve this in other planes. Pagoda Master, I suggest that Xiao Han be pardoned of all his sins and be given a spot to enter the genius zone. This person's luck is too prosperous. He did not die after entering the demon metropolis, and he even came back alive with a huge accumulation and perfect meridians expanded. Only a person with this kind of luck can rob the luck of the geniuses from other planes in the genius zone and obtain celestial treasures. What? The secret mission that Xiao Han went to complete was to enter the demon metropolis. The scholar screamed in shock. This matter is highly confidential, the pagoda master said with slight displeasure. Hong He, you leave first. We'll discuss about Xiao Han's matter again. The scholar hesitated for a moment, but he still left respectfully. I wonder if Xiao Han succeeded in assassinating Brother Yen. Moreover, I wonder to what extent the origin demon qi in his heart has grown. The pagoda master said with extreme annoyance. This person is a calamity. A great calamity. However, his meridians expanded by 2553 times is really monstrous. This puts me in a difficult position. Pagoda master, this is all the more reason to let Xiao Han enter the genius zone. The evil origin demon qi in his heart is a huge hidden danger that could erupt at any time and destroy the world. It's very inappropriate to let him stay in our plane. We might as well use this opportunity to give him a spot to enter the genius zone and let him jump around. If his luck really can't be controlled and he obtains the celestial treasures, all the benefits will belong to us. If he dies, it'll be the end of everything. This kind of thing will not affect us at all. That's true. Pagoda Master will pretend to be polite to Xiao Han and let him go to the genius zone and work for us. Pagoda Master, give Xiao Han a spot. The group of elders spoke one after another at this moment. To be continued. Chapter 405. The highest floor of the Monster Hero Tower. In this plane, the 13 leaders of the human race were still discussing about Xiao Han. You mean, to make use of Xiao Han's luck? The Tower Master said coldly. Yes, Tower Master, Xiao Han's luck is absolutely heaven-defying. How old is he now? He is far from 100 years old. He has already reached the peak of the expanding meridian realm. 10 times of expanding meridian is an unprecedented 2,553 times. What is the most important thing in cultivation? Talent? Ability? Foundation? Mentor? Diligence? No, none of these. Luck is the most important. Some youngsters with better talent than Xiao Han did not have luck like Xiao Han. Not only could they not improve by leaps and bounds, they might even get into trouble and die prematurely. That Garen in the past had talent, bone structure and comprehension abilities that were not inferior to Xiao Han. He also had luck. However, his luck was not as good as Xiao Han's. That was why he was killed by Xiao Han. It was likely that Xiao Han had devoured Garen's luck as well. That was why Xiao Han was able to advance to such a level without turning back. I heard that Xiao Han used to be a live target of the Cloud sect. What is a live target? It's cannon fodder, the lowest existence, lower than pigs and dogs. There are many live targets in the world, but none of them had a good ending. They were all killed or crippled by martial arts disciples, leaving their corpses everywhere. But Xiao Han managed to survive, creating a path of blood from a live target to where he is today. If this isn't luck, then what is? Moreover, we instigated Xiao Han to assassinate Brother Yen in the demon metropolis. This was sending him to his death. We did not expect Xiao Han to come back alive. But now, not only did he come back alive, he even showed off his strength. Killing people to establish his prestige. Very impressive. It can be said that Xiao Han's luck has reached a peak. Tower Master, it's like this. We cannot act recklessly against Xiao Han now. They couldn't plot against him and they couldn't kill him either. There is the existence of luck in the unseen world. If we kill someone with heaven-defying luck, it will affect us as well. We can only feign civility. Xiao Han's luck is so strong. It won't make sense if we don't let him work for us in the genius zone. Amen? The pagoda master let out a deep breath. He had finally made his decision. Indeed, the requirement of one's luck is even stricter when it comes to treasure hunting. Forget it, I'll inform Xiao Mingqiu of the Pure Cloud sect right now and have him tell Xiao Han that we're going to search for treasures. He would no longer pursue Xiao Han's past crimes and would instead give him a spot to enter the genius zone. After 7 days, Xiao Han would arrive. He followed Xiao Mingqiu to the Yaoxiao Pagoda. As for the matter regarding Yen Lang, this seat will also properly interrogate him when the time comes. If Xiao Han really kills Yen Lang today, it will be a great surprise. Ah. Yes. Xiao Han is a double-edged sword. If we make good use of him, he will bring us a pleasant surprise. Ah. Tower Master, I don't know why, but now that Xiao Han has joined us, I actually have some inexplicable confidence that our plane will be able to enter the genius zone. I have a premonition that we will really be able to obtain immortal pills and magical treasures. Ha ha ha. An elder let out a carefree laugh. Cloud Sect, Cloud Mountain Range. Xiao Han followed behind Wu Yu and walked through the Pure Cloud Palace. I wonder if I can cultivate the incomplete version of the purification secret technique. Xiao Han was walking quickly behind him, following closely behind Wu Yu. However, this secret technique is of little value. It's useless against experts. It can only be used to control the weak. Moreover, it's extremely difficult to forcibly control and edify the other party. Moreover, it's easy to be devoured by the other party. If I want to edify someone, I can only do it if the other party is willing. In fact, I even need the other party to open up their mind and not resist spiritually. If it wasn't for the sake of controlling Yen Lang, Xiao Han wouldn't need this secret technique. That's right. It's a pity to kill Yen Lang. It's a waste of a heavenly treasure. If I don't kill him and keep him by my side, he'll always be a disaster. Therefore, I need to control him perfectly. Not long after, Wu Yu brought Xiao Han to the back of the Pure Cloud Palace and entered an ancient wooden pavilion. The entire wooden pavilion was carved with precious agar wood from the bottom of the sea. It was beautifully decorated and had an antique feel to it. Sect Master. Outside the pavilion, a few elegant female disciples were trimming the flowers and sweeping the fallen leaves. When they saw Wu Yu, they bowed and greeted him. When they saw Xiao Han, their beautiful eyes flashed with admiration and they greeted him. Greetings, Senior Brother Xiao Han. And? Xiao Han politely returned the greeting. Xiao Han, follow me in. This is the place where I read books, drink tea and study the martial Tao when I'm free. Other than a few female disciples who clean up, no one else comes here. Wu Yu said with a smile. The two of them entered the wooden pavilion one after the other. They walked up the spiral staircase and went up to the second floor. On the second floor, there was a large circle of bookshelves on the four walls. Countless books, rolls of paper, animal skin papers, jade slips, bamboo slips. They were neatly arranged on the bookshelves. Xiao Han couldn't help but gasp in amazement. Soon, Wu Yu took out a thin piece of yellowish paper from the bookshelf on the east side and carefully handed it to Xiao Han. Xiao Han, in fact, this is only an incomplete page. It describes some of the theories behind the edification secret technique. However, it doesn't contain much about the cultivation method. Just take a look. Don't force yourself to cultivate lest you go mad. Sect Master, I understand. Xiao Han nodded and smiled. I don't think I'll go mad. Hee hee. Wu Yu also smiled. That's right. Xiao Han, your mental strength is very strong now. You've also comprehended the great accomplishment stage saber intent. Your soul is like a saber, sharp and unbreakable. It won't be easy to cause you to go mad. Xiao Han smiled and took the yellowish paper. He glanced at it. This piece of paper was very old and almost rotten. It was also emitting a moldy stench. Who knew how many years ago it was an antique from? On the paper there were only some crooked words that were barely discernible. This. Xiao Han immediately smiled bitterly. Sect Master. I have to study it carefully before I can try to cultivate it. It's really too broken. Suddenly, before Wu Yu could speak, Buzz, Xiao Han's heart, which was sealed by layers of 10,000 immortal formation, suddenly throbbed. This throbbing came from the surface of his heart. One of the countless broken seals. This seal, which was almost broken by the demon god's aura. It instantly loosened. There was a sign that it was going to break. What? Another seal is going to break? Could it be? This remnant page that recorded the secret technique of crossing tribulations actually triggered another immortal seal? This is the seventh seal that was triggered. Xiao Han's heart was filled with shock and astonishment. Buzz, 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 the seventh seal was extremely thick. It was inscribed with countless ancient runes and had a powerful aura. At this moment, it was trembling non-stop. Furthermore, there was a glazed Buddhist light flickering within every rune on the seal. Vaguely, large golden Buddhas could be seen within the runes, and they were singing Buddhist hymns. In the ears of those who heard it, it produced a kind of pious and pure power of faith. Yes, another peerless divine technique has been triggered. Xiao Han was certain. However, for the current Xiao Han, every time a seal was broken, a divine technique would be triggered. Xiao Han was in a dilemma. Obtaining a divine technique was naturally good. However, the seal would also be consumed. Without these seals, the demon god's egg's breeding speed would be unimaginable. Although these seals are damaged, they are self-repairing. They are also very useful in suppressing the vitality of the demon egg. Once all these seals are broken, even with the 10,000 immortal formation outside, the breeding speed of the demon egg will be completely out of control. At that time I will be in danger. Thinking of this, Xiao Han's forehead was filled with cold sweat. At the same time, the demonic egg that was hibernating in the heart wriggled a few times. It let out a savage sneer and a very proud thought that was directly transmitted to Xiao Han's brain. Brat, now that these seals are gone, my divine secret technique will be completed faster. Take care of yourself. Mphumph. Xiao Han, is there something wrong with this remnant page of the secret technique? I can see that your complexion is a bit unsightly. Wu Luan immediately asked. This is nothing. Sect Master, this disciple seems to have some understanding of this secret technique. Alright, Sect Master, this disciple will take his leave. This disciple needs to go into seclusion immediately to solve this bit of understanding. Xiao Han said quickly. Then, he fled from the wooden pavilion as if he was escaping from a disaster. This boy. Wu Yu looked out of the window and watched as Xiao Han's figure disappeared from his sight. This boy is too unconventional. This sect master can't understand his actions at all. Xiao Han directly used his true energy and returned to his true inheritance mountain within a dozen breaths' time. After saying a few words to Lan Shirong and Jing Yanxue, Xiao Han entered a secret room on the mountain peak. He sat cross-legged. His mind sank into his heart. Originally, I didn't want the seal to be broken. However, since it has come to this, there is no other way. Let's see what kind of divine technique it is. Xiao Han no longer forcefully suppressed the seventh seal that was about to be broken. He relaxed his mind. In the next moment, crack. A crisp sound like an eggshell breaking filled the air with the smell of breaking the shackles and removing the seal. It was extremely mysterious. Not long after, Xiao Han's heart started to beat and heavenly music sounded. Strange phenomena, auspicious clouds and heavenly flowers poured out from Xiao Han's heart. The seventh seal was completely broken. In an instant, mysterious chanting sounds could be heard everywhere. 10,000 Buddhist lights. Golden Buddha shadows were sitting cross-legged everywhere. Each of the golden Buddha phantoms was performing a strange hand seal. Strangely, under the influence of the Buddhist lights from the golden Buddha shadows, Xiao Han's entire body also underwent some changes. Xiao Han strangely felt that his spirit was actually becoming brighter and brighter. It was as if a knife was placed on a whetstone and continuously sharpened. It was as if he had developed a magical sixth sense. Rays of Buddhist light fused into Xiao Han's cerebral cortex. Suddenly, Xiao Han's spirit became sharp and penetrating, like the bright sun shining in the clear sky. His entire brain seemed to have turned into a blue sky with white clouds. It was clean without any filth or shadow. The whole world was intoxicated with peach blossoms and endless fragrance. Suddenly Xiao Han's spirit was brightened. Some of the subtle changes in his body, such as heartbeat, blood circulation, cell division and production, the contraction of pores, the change in body temperature, the movement of his organs, all of them were clearly reflected in Xiao Han's mind, as if he was looking at the lines on his palm. There was even a ball of blazing light that seeped out from Xiao Han's brain, forming a halo that covered Xiao Han's head. This was the spiritual halo that was emitted when one's spirit was raised to a certain level. Moreover, behind each golden Buddha's head, there was also a huge spiritual halo radiating from it, revealing an unparalleled spiritual power. It was too strange. It was too strange. Now Xiao Han felt as if he was in the house of vigor with 100 times the sense of touch. Under the influence of the countless golden Buddha shadows, many of the impurities in Xiao Han's spirit seemed to be cleansed, causing his spirit to become spotless, round and flawless. I got it. Suddenly Xiao Han's eyes opened and they shone brightly. His pupils were like the reflection of swords and knives, and his face was filled with the light of enlightenment. The remnant page that the sect leader gave me is a very small part of this technique. This technique is not some purification secret technique. The so-called purification is merely the tip of the iceberg of this technique. Now the remnant page has triggered a seal, causing this technique to be completely restored. Just like when I restored the indestructible golden body, son of heaven's divine fist. Destroying sky and earth mental technique. A technique that specializes in cultivating spirit power. To be continued. Chapter 406. Destroying sky, decimating earth mental art. Focus on psychic power. Xiao Han was completely immersed in the Buddhist light, immersed in the analysis and interpretation of this mysterious technique. His eyes were focused on his nose was focused on his heart like an old monk in meditation. The halo of spiritual power behind his head grew brighter and brighter. Illuminate the ages. It was almost as if it was exuding a supreme spirit concept. Now Xiao Han also knew that this extinguishing sky decimating earth mental technique was a very, very precious cultivation technique. This kind of cultivation technique. Even in the immortal world, once it appeared, immortals would fight over it. Because this was a psychic force arcane art. Be it in the upper realm or the lower realm, cultivation techniques that specialized in tempering the mind were extremely rare. If one were to compare and rank the cultivation techniques in the world, then, the true energy divine art should be ranked last. Then it was time to temper one's body. There were actually very few cultivation techniques that specialized in tempering the body, so they were precious. Then there was the special cultivation technique. Special cultivation methods such as the 10,000 beast devouring technique that Xiao Han cultivated before. Lastly, without a doubt, was the most precious and rare cultivation method that even immortals would fight over, a psychic power cultivation method. Xiao Han knew that even among the immortals of the immortal world, very few were qualified to cultivate psychic techniques. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. Very soon Xiao Han saw a mass of golden gas in his brain. Xiao Han understood that this ball of golden gas was his spiritual energy. There was a strand of saber chi circling around the golden gas, intertwining. This saber chi was Xiao Han's mastery saber intent. This saber chi, when fused with mental energy, would evolve into the natal saber chi that could destroy heaven and earth. Natal saber chi, soul locking 10,000 miles. With a slash of the saber, it could kill people and ghosts, annihilating the 6 realms. Moreover, the innate saber chi was not activated by true energy. It could be said, once a bladesman produced his life saber chi in the brain, the saber chi would be extremely powerful. That had nothing to do with true energy. Initial success saber intent and intermediate saber intent required true energy to activate. However, the natal saber chi of the Deshang stage relied on mental energy. Simply put, the more powerful one's mind was, the more powerful one was. The more powerful the intrinsic saber chi was, the stronger it was. The more spiritual energy he had, the better. The natal saber chi was less likely to be exhausted. With my current mental strength, I can barely slash out 3 natal saber chis. Seriously speaking, I should be able to slash out 3 times. My spiritual energy is actually not very strong. At least he isn't a pervert. Xiao Han understood. However, this extinguishing sky decimating earth mental technique is a technique that refines one's mental energy. Astonishingly, Xiao Han was pleasantly surprised. The stronger I refine my mental power, the more terrifying the power of my natal saber chi. Moreover, the easier it is to comprehend saber intent to the godly state. That's right. To open the door to the saber realm, one had to rely on mental strength. Theoretically speaking, once one's mental strength reached a certain level, it would directly soar into the sky and rush beyond the clouds to sense the mysterious saber realm gate. His mental strength was weak. On one hand, the mental strength in the brain was not sharp enough. On the other hand, it could not soar high into the sky, into the vast universe, into the void. This is the extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental art. When cultivated to the extreme, one's mental energy will go from vaporized to liquefied, from liquefied to solidified. In other words, the gaseous mental power would eventually condense into a solid, incomparably hard. In the brain it would form a mental sphere. Right now, my mental strength is only vaporized, and it doesn't seem to have any signs of liquefying. Looks like, according to the classification of the extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental art, my mental strength is still at the lowest level, the cultivation of this extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental art. Xiao Han raised his head slightly and looked at the floating golden Buddhas. It's very simple. There are a total of 28 golden Buddhas. Each of the golden Buddhas performed a spiritual finger seal that contained endless profundities. Cultivating the extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental art is, in fact, cultivating these 28 sets of mental finger techniques. The 1st to 10th sets of mental finger techniques belong to the cultivation of vaporizing mental energy, continuously increasing the quantity of mental energy and gradually strengthening it. This causes the mental energy to spread out endlessly in the boundless sea of consciousness like a fog. The 11th to 20th sets of mental finger techniques belong to the cultivation of liquefying mental energy, completely liquefying the gaseous mental energy to increase the density of the mental energy, causing the mental energy to undergo a qualitative transformation. After liquefying, some dark golden fragments will appear in the mental energy. This is the sign of solidification. The 21st to 28th sets of mental finger techniques, solidifying mental energy, causing mental energy to turn from liquid to solid, turning into a ball of mental energy. This ball of mental energy is like a star in the brain. As long as one's cultivation reaches this stage, even if the physical body is destroyed, it will not be affected at all. One can use the ball of mental energy to take over another body or reconstruct the physical body. As long as the mental energy does not die, one will never die. One will be completely invincible. Furthermore, once one has reached this stage, one's mental energy can roam in outer space and travel unhindered through the universe. One need not be afraid of cosmic storms, cosmic black holes, and other physical attacks. Furthermore, when one's mental energy is strong enough to be in a solid state, the brain is like a star. With a direct explosion, it can even destroy a plane. Use mental energy to destroy a plane. However, the cultivation of mental energy also places great importance on the strengthening and cultivation of the physical body. Mental energy and the physical body complement each other. The physical body is the foundation of mental energy. It is the carrier. After all, mental energy can only be nurtured in the human body and become strong. When the mental energy is strong and the physical body is weak, one will become a madman and explode in the end. To cultivate to the point of solidifying mental energy and forming a mental energy star in the brain, one will definitely need a body that is so strong that it can tear apart mountains with one hand, shatter the ocean with one palm, and pluck the stars in the moon. Cultivating mental energy can allow one to have many divine abilities. For example, mental energy can be illusory and real. It is much stranger than true chi. In reality, it can contain an astonishing amount of power. It can control objects from a distance and kill enemies from 10,000 miles away. Moreover, similarly, mental energy can also be like true chi, shape-shifting. At will, mental energy can be transformed into mountains and rivers, all living things, dragons and tigers, weapons. Illusory, it can silently penetrate into a person's heart and kill the enemy without a sound. Mental energy seeps into the enemy's sea of consciousness. Destroy the enemy's brain. Ha ha ha, I got it. As long as I solidify my mental energy and form a mental star in my brain, then I will definitely be able to cultivate the saber intent into spirit. That's right. From the moment the life saber chi was born, saber intent is actually a type of mental energy. Or rather, it is to use the saber Tao and saber intent to control mental energy, to form a terrifying attack effect. I Xiao Han have finally reached the threshold. Cultivating mental energy. I can achieve the peerless saber Dao. I, Xiao Han, have finally found a clear path for my cultivation. Xiao Han was ecstatic. After a while, his intense emotions finally calmed down. He continued to research. Purify. It is a simple use of mental energy. In this extinguishing heaven and earth mental technique, as long as I complete the 5th mental finger gesture, I can forcefully purify some targets. However, completing the 5th mental finger gesture can only purify targets at the 5th stage of true Qi. After completing the 7th mental finger gesture, I can only purify targets at the 6th stage of true Qi in the expanded acupoint realm. For targets at the 7th stage of true Qi in the talisman transformation realm, it is very difficult to purify them. The requirement for mental energy is also very high. At the very least, one must reach the liquefaction of mental energy. Let's not worry about that for now. What I want to purify now is Yen Lang. Yen Lang, that old brat, is at the peak of the expanded acupoint realm. His expanded acupoint is dozens of times more powerful than the average expanded acupoint realm. From the looks of it, I must complete 7 or 8 mental finger gestures before I can purify Yen Lang. I understand now. Tempering mental energy step by step, vaporizing, liquefying, solidifying. My mental energy is still at the low end of vaporizing. However, I have even comprehended the mastery saber intent and natal saber Qi. Then, my mental energy should be stronger than the average true Qi cultivator, right? Alright. Let's see how many mental finger gestures I can complete. If I complete 7 mental finger gestures, I have a 50% chance of purifying Yen Lang. If I complete 8 mental finger gestures, I have an 80% chance. If I complete 9 mental finger gestures, I have a 100% chance. Of course, if I can only complete 6 mental finger gestures or less, I can only threaten Yen Lang to cooperate with me and willingly release his mental energy for me to purify. Xiao Han formed hand gestures with both of his hands and practiced according to the first Golden Buddha's finger gesture. Xiao Han completed the first set of mental finger gestures smoothly and easily. It could even be said that he was very familiar with it. Moreover, as the first set of mental finger gestures was completed, traces of soul throbbing spread throughout Xiao Han's body, causing his brain to go numb. The golden mental energy in his brain actually strengthened a little, and the amount of mental energy also increased a little. Feels good, it feels so good. Xiao Han exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Continuously practicing these mental finger gestures can increase my mental energy. The second set of mental finger gestures was also completed easily. His mental energy strengthened once again, and the amount of mental energy increased by quite a bit. The third set of mental finger gestures was not a problem. The fourth set of mental finger gestures was still not a problem. The fifth set of mental finger gestures was slightly paused in the middle, but it was only for a short while. It was still completed smoothly, like a hot knife through butter. Not bad. My mental energy is not bad. Let's see if I can directly liquefy the gaseous mental energy. Xiao Han was elated. Practice the sixth set of mental finger gestures. Xiao Han's hands moved like butterflies. With the completion of the first 5 sets of mental finger gestures, Xiao Han's natal saber Qi also became much thicker. The saber intent became stronger and stronger. However, unexpectedly, the 6th set of mental finger gestures was extremely difficult to practice. The difficulty was actually more than 10 times higher than the first 5. Xiao Han paused continuously in the middle and stumbled. It took him almost 4 hours and more than 100 pauses before he finally completed the 6th set of mental finger gestures. Tired mentally. In an instant, Xiao Han lay down on his back and panted heavily. His face was pale. His forehead was full of cold sweat. After resting for a full 5 hours, Xiao Han finally regained his strength. Looks like my mental energy is about to reach its limit. However, I still need to try and break through the 7th set of mental finger gestures. Xiao Han formed a hand gesture with both hands and formed the 7th set of mental finger gestures. Break again. To be continued. Chapter 407. Xiao Han went into seclusion to cultivate the extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental technique. A technique that specialized in tempering one's mental power was extremely rare. Even in the immortal world, it was as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn. It could be said that Xiao Han had stumbled upon a treasure by accident. This mental technique had a total of 28 sets of mental finger techniques. Xiao Han had reached the 6th set of mental finger techniques and was currently fiercely practicing the 7th set. Xiao Han's hands moved like butterflies. All sorts of exquisite hand gestures and unimaginable movements combined to form a complete set of mental finger techniques. Moreover, during the process of practicing this set of mental finger techniques, the mental power within Xiao Han's boundless sea of consciousness was constantly strengthening and increasing the amount of mental power. The gaseous mental power became denser and denser like the morning mist. However, the seventh set of mental finger techniques was too complicated and profound. When Xiao Han was practicing, he only felt that it was incomparably jerky. There were many minute movements that he was unable to master, resulting in many broken points. Moreover, with Xiao Han's current mental power, it seemed that it was not enough to perfectly control the seventh set of mental finger techniques. During the process of practicing this mental finger technique, Xiao Han's mental power felt as if it was being squeezed out and was close to being overdrawn. This caused Xiao Han to have no choice but to stop every time he reached a broken point. His mind was blank, his body was weak, and he was panting like an ox. Damn it, the cultivation of mental power is really not that easy. Xiao Han's face was pale. He simply laid down and panted heavily. This seventh set of mental finger techniques has a total of 108 subtle hand gestures. I am unable to perfectly practice it in one go. There will be 28 broken points in the middle, 108 hand gestures, and he had to pause 28 times in the middle. Damn it. This young master doesn't believe that I can't practice this seventh set of mental finger techniques. Continue practicing. If I don't practice the seventh set of mental finger techniques, this young master will not come out. Xiao Han was practically gnashing his teeth. Just like that, one day and one night passed. Phew, there are only 17 broken points left. There is progress. Do your best. Another day passed. There are still 11 broken points left. Ah, I am close to success. The third day passed. There are only 4 broken points left. The full moon hung high in the sky. A celestial appearance was revealed. Lan Shirong and Jing Yanxue stood guard outside a wooden pavilion with anxious and worried expressions. What's going on? Senior Sister Shirong, do you think, Uncle? Did something happen to him? He has already been in seclusion for 3 days and 3 nights and hasn't come out. Jing Yanxue asked Lan Shirong with a sobbing tone. Yanxue, don't scare me. Seclusion is just seclusion. The uncle was so valiant, he definitely wouldn't be able to come out of seclusion in a short period of time. Perhaps he is comprehending some kind of divine technique or absolute art. Once he comes out of seclusion, he will be invincible under the heavens. Lan Shirong consoled. However, she seemed to be in a trance. He paused for a moment. Let's report this matter to the sect master. The 4th day. Xiao Han's hands moved at lightning speed, dragging out a series of afterimages. If someone were to see Xiao Han's hand speed and gestures, they would definitely be dazzled. As Xiao Han's hand gestures changed constantly, strands of sparkling and translucent Buddhist light emerged from Xiao Han's 5 fingers and danced non-stop. Countless strands of glazed Buddhist light drilled into Xiao Han's forehead like rivers flowing into the sea. Xiao Han's entire head emitted a pure and holy halo. That was a halo formed when one's mental power reached a certain degree of density. Suddenly, done. Xiao Han's hands formed the final gesture of the 7th spiritual finger technique. There wasn't a single break in between. It was done in one go, like moving clouds and flowing water. When the conditions were right, success was achieved. Everything was logical. The 7th spiritual finger technique was perfectly performed. There was no delay. Boom! Following the completion of the 7th spiritual finger technique, Xiao Han's brain region burst out with a throbbing that went deep into his spinal cord and expanded. In his sea of consciousness, the volume of the gaseous mental power seemed to have increased by a large circle. Moreover, the density of his mental power had increased. This ball of gaseous spiritual energy seemed to be showing signs of liquefying. Xiao Han's mental power was strengthened and the amount of mental power increased. Now Xiao Han activated his life saber chi and slashed out. The volume of the saber chi was as thick as a water bucket and was 1,000 meters long. It was enough to instantly kill most of the ancient giants. Without using demonic techniques or true chi, he could directly use his mental power to activate his life saber chi and kill an ancient giant, without leaving a trace. However, Xiao Han could only use this life saber chi a few times now. After using it, the consumption of mental power would be more severe than the consumption of his flesh shell and true chi. Thus, Xiao Han wouldn't use this life saber chi often. He would keep it as his trump card. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Xiao Han wouldn't use it. Xiao Han opened his eyes and a bright light burst out from his pupils, mixed with the shadows of swords and sabers, layer upon layer. The entire secret chamber glowed with a kind of sunlight, blue sea, clear sky, and a supreme artistic conception of a cloudless 10,000 li. Furthermore, in Xiao Han's vision, everything he saw was several times clearer than before. The entire world seemed to have more layers and the colors were more vivid. Mental power and soul have become stronger. Xiao Han nodded his head in satisfaction. The seventh set of spiritual finger technique has been perfectly cultivated. Now I can try to forcefully enlighten Yen. Yes, as long as he cultivated the seventh set of spiritual finger technique, he would be able to enlighten ordinary cultivators of the expanded acupoint realm. Within the Despair Demon compound, at this moment, Yen Lang was in the courtyard, refining a pill with a medicinal cauldron. That was the antidote that Xiao Han had ordered Yen Lang to refine for Xiao Yunrong. Damn it. Yen Lang's face was gloomy as a deep hatred flashed across his eyes. The corner of his mouth twitched as his expression became extremely sinister. I never thought that I, Yen Lang, a hero of a lifetime, would actually be taken advantage of by a brat who is still wet behind the ears. I actually had no choice but to become his slave. This is truly a great shame and humiliation. Yes, this brat is very powerful. At such a young age, he is already able to run amok in the demon metropolis. Almost no one below the demon emperor is a match for him. But what kind of person is my Yen Lang? The greatest alchemist in the myriad of worlds. He was also a genius that only appeared once in 10,000 years. Even in the demon metropolis, those demon emperors were extremely respectful to me and treated me like a distinguished guest. That Xiao Han is powerful, but is he more powerful than the 10 great demon emperors? How despicable. He captured me from the demon metropolis and even deprived me of my protective treasure. Now, my life and death are completely in his hands. As long as he throws me out and gets caught by those old fellows from the Demon Hero Tower, I will definitely suffer the torture of thousands of blades and be miserable beyond words. No, I, Yen Lang, cannot be toyed with by Xiao Han like this. I have to think of a way to deal with that guy. Right now, I have to pretend to be courteous to him and gain his trust. Then, I have to think of a way to refine some pills to control him. You want me, Yen Lang, to be your slave? One day Xiao Han, you brat, will call me master, instead. Oh? Master Yen Lang, what are you muttering to yourself here? Xiao Han's spirit wave took form and arrived at the Despair Demon compound. He looked at Yen Lang with a smile that was not a smile. So, master. I didn't say anything. Yen Lang quickly gathered his thoughts and squeezed out a fawning expression. I'm refining the antidote for master. And? Xiao Han nodded and said with a smile that did not reach his eyes. Yen Lang, I see that you seem to be very dissatisfied with me. Hearing this, the muscles at the corner of Yen Lang's eyes twitched slightly, and then he quickly said, No, master, Yen Lang does not dare to be dissatisfied. Yen Lang's life is in master's hands. Is that so? I don't think so. Do you think that I don't know just because you're blabbering here? Yen Lang, you are arrogant and unruly. As expected, you have evil intentions and want to betray me. My guess is correct. As the most outstanding alchemist in this plane, you once enjoyed boundless glory in the demon metropolis and sat on the throne. How could you sincerely become my Xiao Han's slave? Suddenly Xiao Han let out a stern roar. His voice was ice-cold, as if it wanted to freeze the air in the Despair Demon compound into ice. Seems like you are stubborn. Since you can't be used by me, then I can only kill you. However, I will not kill you. This time, when I return to the Demon Hero Tower, I have already told the Tower Master about your matter. He hopes that I will hand you over to him to deal with. I will hand you over right now. No, Master. I was wrong. Please don't hand me over to those sanctimonious demon heroes. Immediately, Xiao Han's scare caused Yen Lang's face to turn ashen. His entire body trembled as he let out a heart-wrenching scream. This is the time. Xiao Han wanted to deliberately scare Yen Lang, causing a flaw in Yen Lang's heart and brain, so that he could take advantage of it. Boom! In an instant, all of Xiao Han's mental power turned into a flood dragon and forcefully rushed into Yen Lang's brain. Xiao Han's mental power forcefully controlled Yen Lang's soul. No! In an instant, Yen Lang let out a sound like a pig being slaughtered and rolled on the ground. He was in extreme pain and felt as if his brain was about to melt. At this moment, Xiao Han's mental power was controlling Yen Lang's soul inch by inch. This was the so-called enlightenment. This was forceful enlightenment. However, This Yanlang soul is struggling and resisting. It is a little difficult for me to completely enlighten him. Unfortunately, I have only mastered the 7th finger technique. Now, I only have 50% to 60% confidence to forcefully enlighten Yanlang. Because Yanlang is an expert in the expanded acupoint realm, I have to master the 8th finger technique in order to be absolutely safe. However, the arrow is already on the bow and it has to be released. I have to enlighten him. Yanlang, do you want your soul to be destroyed? Quickly open up your heart and soul. You cannot resist. Otherwise your brain will explode and you will die. Xiaohan's voice resounded in Yanlang's brain. Ah, Xiaohan, you have the ambition of a wolf. You actually want to plant a seed of faith in me so that I, Yanlang, will forget myself and willingly become your slave. Ah, Xiaohan, you are even scarier than the demon race. You are even more evil than the demon race. Ah, damn it, you are quite stubborn. Xiaohan became impatient. His mental power frantically wrapped around Yanlang's soul and rubbed it continuously. No, stop. I can't take it anymore. Alright, Xiaohan, I am willing to surrender. I am willing to open up my soul. Don't torture me anymore. Yanlang couldn't bear it anymore and roared. Finally, Yanlang completely handed over his heart and soul. He no longer struggled and resisted. Following that, light and shadows appeared from Yanlang's forehead and the back of his head at the same time. Among these light and shadows, there was a virtual image of Xiaohan who was sitting cross-legged and chanting. Yanlang, you have committed grave sins in your life. You have betrayed the human race and are ungrateful. Why don't you let go of your obsession and guide my spirit into your soul to form a brand and purify you? To wash away your sins? Yes. I, Yanlang, will accept Master's purification. Yanlang put his palms together and his face was filled with sincerity. After 10 breaths, Xiaohan's mental power came out from Yanlang's forehead and condensed into a human figure again. He looked at Yanlang with a smile. I have successfully branded my aura in Yanlang's soul. Now Yanlang will never be able to betray me for the rest of his life. He is willing to be my slave and puppet. Even if I ask him to commit suicide immediately, he will not hesitate. This extinguishing heaven and earth mental power is indeed miraculous. At this moment, Yanlang suddenly stood up and sincerely worshipped Xiaohan. He then knelt down and kowed out. Thank you, Master, for helping Yanlang get rid of this evil fate. At this moment, Yanlang's heart is unprecedentedly calm. Everything that happened in the past is a sin. Now, only by serving Master with peace of mind and bravely striving to be the first can I relieve the guilt on my conscience. Not bad. Xiaohan nodded and smiled. Actually, there is nothing wrong with following me, Xiaohan. From now on, my 2 wives will learn the art of alchemy from you. Don't keep it to yourself. Teach them all your experience and skills. Yes, Master. Yanlang's eyes flickered with an almost blind admiration towards Xiaohan. To be continued. Update quick text. Chapter 408. And I have indeed succeeded in reforming Yanlang. Xiaohan heaved a sigh of relief and smiled at Yanlang, who had a pious expression, as if he was going to kneel down to him at any time. Right now, Xiaohan's soul had formed a mysterious connection with Yanlang. The 2 of them seemed to have formed a contract. And it was very obvious that this was not an equal contract. It was a master and servant contract. What made Xiaohan feel very interesting and fresh was that when he looked at Yanlang, he even had an illusion. It was as if he was looking at a hunting dog that he had raised, a loyal dog, or a squirrel, a tabby cat that knew how to wag its tail and beg in front of its master. What was even more inconceivable was that Xiaohan had planted his own imprint in Yanlang's soul. With just a thought, he could erase Yanlang's soul. And completing the 7th finger incantation can barely reform Yanlang, who is at the peak of the expanding point realm and has long been known as a genius alchemist of the demon capital. Fortunately, Yanlang took the initiative to open his soul, allowing me to take advantage of the situation. However, to reform a cultivator at the talisman transformation realm, my mental power is obviously not enough. I must have at least completed the 11th spiritual hand incantation before I can try. After the previous small test, Xiaohan quickly summed up his experience. Master, may I ask when you will introduce the 2 mistresses to this old servant? At this moment, Yanlang looked at Xiaohan with flattery. This old servant will definitely rack his brains and teach them everything he has learned in the path of alchemy. He will not hold anything back. And follow me out first. Xiaohan smiled. Go out? Yanlang's body trembled. In fact, from an instinctive desire, Yen Lang did not like to be imprisoned in this despair demon compound for eternity. Under the premise of ensuring his safety, Yen Lang also wanted to go out. Master, if this old servant goes out rashly, Yen Lang was slightly nervous. It's fine. I just want you to go out for a while. With a thought, Xiao Han and Yen Lang disappeared from the despair demon compound at the same time. This is the Purity Mountain Range, the mountain peak that belongs to me. Xiao Han said with a smile. This is my seclusion room. Under normal circumstances, no one will disturb me. Yes, master. Yen Lang looked around. Then he sighed. It's been tens of thousands of years since I left the human world. This time I'm returning with master. So, everything feels like a lifetime ago. He walked to the wall and gently stroked the few small ornaments hanging on the wall. Just then, Sect master and eldest senior brother have arrived. After cultivating the extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental technique, Xiao Han's mental energy had opened up a miraculous path. Not only had it been strengthened, it had also formed a type of mental sensation. He could clearly sense any movement within 100 miles. Every blade of grass, every tree, every mountain, every rock, every person and every object. He could observe them down to the smallest detail, as if he was looking at the lines on his palm. Yen Lang, stay here obediently and don't run around. Otherwise, if someone finds out and beats you to death, you deserve it. Xiao Han warned. Don't worry, master. This old servant understands. Yen Lang bowed slightly. Outside the wooden loft, the sun was shining brightly. Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong had already reported the matter of Xiao Han continuously cultivating in seclusion for 4 days to Lord Wu. Lord Wu was worried that Xiao Han would go berserk after cultivating the incomplete secret technique. Thus, he didn't dare to be negligent and led Xiao Mingqiu, Fang Ling and Dong Fangqin to Xiao Han's true inheritance mountain peak. Sect master, senior brothers. You're here. Xiao Han went out to welcome them with a face full of happiness. Xiao Mingqiu glanced at Xiao Han and then winked at Lan Shirong and Jing Yanxue. Sisters-in-law, you two are too worried about your good husband. Look, isn't he fine? Being worried makes one confused. This is being worried makes one confused. I already said that with junior brother Xiao Han's temperament, it's almost impossible for him to go berserk. Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong's suspenseful hearts finally calmed down when they saw Xiao Han walking out in high spirits. They shyly lowered their heads. This brat's spirit and bearing is even better than before. Even his temperament has undergone some subtle changes. Could it be that he has gained something from studying the incomplete secret technique? Lord Wu's eyes revealed a deep suspicion when he looked at Xiao Han and couldn't help but mutter to himself. Even our sect has studied the incomplete secret technique of purification for a long time. Our sect has even invited some of our ancient great friends to study and comprehend it together. In the end, we all agreed that it's almost impossible to cultivate. There's simply no trace of it. If one forcefully cultivates it, he will definitely go berserk. Xiao Han can't be that heaven-defying, right? With just a fragment of it, he managed to deduce this ancient secret technique? Xiao Han walked over with a smile. Xiao Han, did you cultivate that secret technique? Lord Wu finally couldn't help but ask. Sect master, I have my own understanding of it. Xiao Han touched his hair and said ambiguously. My mental strength has been tempered a little. This disciple's mental strength has become more stable and full. However, if I really want to cultivate it, I'm afraid it will take a long time. This time, when I go to the genius zone, I hope to gradually perfect this mental strength. As expected, it's a mental strength cultivation technique. Lord Wu pondered for a while and nodded. Xiao Han, mental strength cultivation technique is rare in this world. How rare is it? In our plane, there isn't a complete set of mental strength cultivation technique. If you really manage to deduce some clues from the incomplete secret technique and can cultivate it without suffering from chi deviation, then don't give up so easily. Study and cultivate diligently. Cultivating the mental strength cultivation technique will definitely allow you to reach a higher level. Yes, sect master. Xiao Han quickly nodded. Xiao Han, you are indeed a world-shocking talent. Lord Wu sighed in admiration. Then he changed the topic. Oh right, Xiao Han, about the genius zone you should talk to Mingqiu. A few days ago, Mingqiu received a private message from the Devil Hero Tower's Tower Master. Xiao Han was stunned and looked at Xiao Mingqiu. Xiao Mingqiu smiled. Junior brother Xiao Han, the Tower Master and the elders have already come out of seclusion. They allowed you to enter the Genius Zone to fight for the Celestial Emperor's treasure. Due to this reason, the number of people entering the Genius Zone has been reduced from the original 102 to 103. The water gurgled. Withered vines accompanied old trees. Xiao Han and Xiao Mingqiu walked side by side on a small mountain path and chatted with each other. Junior brother Xiao Han, the Tower Master personally sent me a message and asked me to pass it to you. Xiao Mingqiu smiled. The Tower Master has already forgiven you for all your previous mistakes. He also promised to focus on nurturing you. He will give you a spot to enter the Genius Zone. Ha! Xiao Han sneered and didn't say anything. In his heart, however, there were many thoughts. The Tower Master and the Elders are really hypocritical. Previously, they threatened me to let me enter the demon metropolis. In reality, they wanted me to die. Now that I've come back alive, they must be very disappointed, right? They didn't pursue this matter because they want me to work for them again, to enter the Genius Zone and take back the celestial treasure for them. Xiao Ming looked at Xiao Han and nodded at him. Junior brother Xiao Han, the Tower Master is using you. I know this as well. Your luck is too prosperous and unstoppable. There are too many experts in the Genius Zone. At that time, not only will you need strength to speak, but luck will also be very important. To be honest, luck might be more important than strength. Xiao Han shrugged and said solemnly. Eldest senior brother, I've personally seen the Tower Master's face. In short, he's not a good person. He'll do anything to achieve his goal. It's not wrong to say that he's sanctimonious. Thus, if we can get the treasure from the Genius Zone, we'll enjoy it ourselves. There's no need to share it. Of course. Xiao Mingqiu nodded. Alright, junior brother Xiao Han, we'll be heading to the Yaoxia Pagoda in 2 days to discuss the matters of entering the Genius Zone. Alright, eldest senior brother, let's go together then. Xiao Han's eyes flickered with anticipation and battle intent. This kind of quiet days is really boring. The Genius Zone is full of ups and downs. All the outstanding geniuses from the various planes will gather there. At that time, we'll have to rely on our own methods to seize the Celestial Emperor's treasure. Just thinking about it makes me inexplicably excited. Ah. Good boy. Xiao Mingqiu smiled and patted Xiao Han's shoulder. Back then, when I brought you to the ancient village to train, you were still a young child. Even when facing an existence like the Great Sun Emperor, you didn't even have the ability to protect yourself. But now you've grown. I'm far from being a match for you, eldest senior brother. If it wasn't for your help, I would have died in the hands of the great Son of Heaven. Moreover, it was you who brought me to the Great Desolation ancient village and tempered me to build a solid foundation for my future cultivation. I won't forget your kindness. Xiao Han bowed deeply to Xiao Mingqiu. Ah, you're exaggerating. You and I are from the same sect and we're as close as brothers. There's no need to be so polite. Xiao Mingqiu smiled and winked. Junior brother Xiao Han, your little Princess Mo Hen is still waiting for you in the ancient village. What do you say? This? Xiao Han was startled. His mind couldn't help but think of the naive, romantic, kind-hearted, and incomparably gentle Princess Mo Hen. Alright, I'll immediately send someone to the Great Desolation ancient village to bring Princess Mo Hen and her thousands of servants to the pure sect. When we return from the Genius Zone, you can stay with her. Ah. Xiao Mingqiu laughed. Eldest senior brother, this? Xiao Han was slightly embarrassed. Junior brother Xiao Han, you don't have to worry about this. Leave it to me. 2 days later we'll go to the Yaoxia Pagoda. That's the most important thing. The Genius Zone is the only opportunity for humans from the ordinary planes to become immortals. Xiao Mingqiu said in a serious tone. On the second day. On the True Inheritance Mountain where Xiao Han resided. Inside a stone house. This stone house was filled with medicinal cauldrons, medicinal hoes, medicinal chests, as well as many colorful medicinal herbs. It was a dazzling array. At this moment, Lan Shirong and Jing Yanxue were standing in front of a medicine cauldron each. They lit a fire and carefully put in different amounts of medicinal herbs. They were concentrating on concocting pills. Yin Lang and Xiao Han stood at the side. Good. Both of you ladies are extremely talented in concocting pills. Yin Lang cheered loudly. Within 5 years, you can inherit a part of my legacy. Xiao Han had already warned Yin Lang not to address Lan Shirong and Jing Yanxue as master or mistress. Thank you for your praise, great master. Lan Shirong and Jing Yanxue were overjoyed. This way we can concoct all kinds of pills for uncle in the future. The two girls' eyes lit up. Thank you for your guidance, great master. Xiao Han also nodded happily. Tomorrow I'll follow eldest senior brother to the Wuxia Pagoda. Great Master Yen Lang, you can stay in the pure sect and teach Lan Shirong and Yenshue the art of concocting pills. Don't worry, with the sect master here, no one will dare to trespass the pure sect. And Yen Lang bowed respectfully. To be continued. Update quick text. Chapter 409. What made Xiao Han very happy was that his two wives, Jing Yenshue and Lan Shirong, were indeed from the Medicine King Valley. In front of Yen Lang they did their best to refine an ordinary pill each. But they received Yen Lang's high evaluation. The two women were very talented in alchemy. Whether it was in the amount of herbs, the understanding of fire control, the cooperation between the ministers, or even the smell of herbs, they were all outstanding. Yen Lang promised Xiao Han that within 5 years at most, the two women would become the best alchemists in this dimension. Their future was limitless. In this way, including Yen Lang, I will have a total of 3 top-grade alchemists after a few years. This will be extremely beneficial and helpful for me to train my true qi, strengthen my flesh shell, and even nurture my mental energy in order to practice the destroying sky, destroying earth mental skill. Xiao Han was also extremely satisfied in his heart. According to Yen Lang's description, he would refine a top-grade pill that could nourish and strengthen mental strength, but the ingredients for this pill were very rare. The focus of Xiao Han's cultivation was actually on mental strength. Hearing this news, Xiao Han was also secretly happy. Cloud sect. Oh. In the back garden with the fragrance of flowers and ethereal charm. Wu Li sat at the stone table tasting a pot of tea. Xiao Han, Xiao Mingqiu, Dongfang Qin and Fang Ling were on his left and right. Xiao Han, Mingqiu, we will be leaving for the Wuxia Pagoda to discuss the matter of entering the genius zone. Maybe you will not be able to return to the sect in time. Our sect is not qualified to travel with you. Go in peace, don't worry. Wu Li said indifferently. Go, even if you can't get the celestial treasure, it's good to see the experts of other dimensions and broaden your horizons. The most important thing is to stay alive. After a pause, Wu Li's expression became extremely serious. Listen, Xiao Han, Mingqiu, a moment of success or failure does not mean anything. Staying alive is more important than anything else. To be flexible, sometimes you can't be too impulsive. When you meet an opponent you can't defeat, you must know when to give up and be flexible. We don't want to lose the two of you, our most esteemed disciples. In fact, you should understand that this is not a show of weakness. There are too many planes in the universe, and the geniuses born from them are not something we can imagine. What I can be sure of is that there must be some freakish existences among the geniuses from the other planes who have entered the genius zone. Some of them are existences you can't defeat, and some of them are even existences who can kill you in an instant with a wave of their hand. Therefore, he had to be mentally prepared. One must not be conceited and blinded by a single leaf. Once you leave this plane you will no longer be geniuses. Yes, Xiao Han and Xiao Mingqiu answered at the same time. Eldest senior brother, junior brother Xiao Han, work hard. You'll definitely be able to gain something in the genius zone. We are all looking forward to your triumphant return at the Pure Rain sect. Dongfang Qin and Fang Ling encouraged at the same time. What else do you have to say to this sect? The Crow Lord said solemnly. I've always been a wild crane with no worries. I don't have anything to tell you. Xiao Mingqiu smiled. However, sect leader, if I'm unfortunate enough to fall in the genius zone, please help me find a secluded place in the Unity Mountain range to build a grave. This. Xiao Han scratched his head. Sect leader, please help me find a disciple of the Sword Villa named Xiao Yunrong. There's no news of Yunrong now and we don't know if she's dead or alive. She's poisoned and there's less than 2 years before the poison takes effect. I'm really worried. If sect leader can find Yunrong, please go to Yenshue and Shirong to get the antidote to save Yunrong. Also, I hope sect leader can take care of Yenshue, Shirong and Princess Mo Hen who's about to reach the Unity Mountain range. Find Xiao Yunrong, take care of Yenshue, Shirong and Princess Mo Hen. The Crow Lord repeated and nodded solemnly. Xiao Han, this sect will remember. After a pause, the Crow Lord stared at Xiao Han. Xiao Han, if Yenshue and Shirong have your flesh and blood, how will they be named? This. Xiao Han hesitated for a moment before smiling. No matter if it's a man or a woman, they'll all think of the 2 words Yun and Yu. Oh right, sect leader, if I die in the genius area, please build my grave in the Unity Mountain range. It's best to build it on the True Inheritance Mountain peak. Xiao Han said with a smile. The Crow Lord shook his hand and said with a serious expression. Xiaohan, you and Mingqiu both have great luck and shouldn't die. Go, remember, come back alive. East Domain. This plane was known as the most powerful and prosperous among the 4 domains of the human race. It was the East Domain that produced the most geniuses in history. In the mountains. In this area of green mountains, there was only a huge mountain in the middle that reached the sky, but it was red. Scarlet red. It was a volcano. This volcano emitted a kind of terrifying pressure that made one's heart palpitate. At this moment, in the sky above the mountains, suddenly a strong wind blew and the whole sky rippled. In the next moment, a white-clothed man walked out of the wind. His body was full of true qi and densely packed talisman formations interweaved and flickered. An aura that could destroy heaven and earth spread out, causing the mountains to shake. This man's body was filled with a fierce evil aura. His body constantly emitted evil, powerful, violent, and even murderous, destructive, and dark aura. However, when he looked at the volcano, his eyes were full of respect. He murmured, "The genius area. This time, Teacher Yan Qi can actually go to the nest left behind by the immortal emperor. It's a pity that I'm older than Teacher Yan Qi by a few thousand years. Otherwise, I, Huang Qianli, can also go to the genius area. It's a pity? Huang Qianli, there's nothing to be sorry about. I heard from Teacher Yan Qi that there are countless super geniuses from other planes going to the genius area this time. The competition will be very fierce. Although we are all great figures on the monster hero ranking and people at the peak of the talisman formation realm, even if there's no age limit and we can go, I'm afraid that we won't be able to obtain the treasures and will die in the genius area." A beautiful woman's voice sounded. After that, a rift was abruptly torn open in space, and numerous graceful young women who wore light muslin and ribbons walked through space. They held horsetail whisks, incense burners, lanterns, and jade basins, and all of them gracefully walked out of the rift. These girls were all at the true energy realm. They were not to be underestimated. Behind these women, there was also a powerful aura hibernating. "Princess Red Lotus, you've come as well." The white-robed man Huang Qianli smiled. "How could I not come? We've all been taught by Teacher Yan Qi. That's why we've been able to continuously improve in the cultivation of true energy. We've killed mutated demon monarchs time and time again and obtained the title of great figures. This time Teacher Yan Qi has summoned me. I've traveled 1,000 miles to come." As Xiaoqin spoke, red lotuses bloomed everywhere in the air. It was a beautiful sight to behold. Then a red-robed girl stepped out from the crowd. The girls holding lanterns, jade basins, and incense burners all knelt on one knee. The red-robed girl's face was very gentle and pretty. She looked like a budding girl, but her eyes were incomparably ancient. It was as if she could see through all the love and hatred in the mortal world. There was not a single part of her body that did not flow with the mysteries of true energy. The jade-like true talismans formed an array. "Good, Princess Red Lotus. Teacher Yan Qi's teachings were not in vain. You've also reached the peak of the talisman formation realm. You only need to open one more acupoint and you'll reach the true energy realm of the 9th stage," Huang Qianli praised. "Let's not waste time. Let's go greet Teacher Yan Qi first." Princess Red Lotus and Huang Qianli flew all the way to the top of the volcano. It was a deep and scorching cave filled with boiling lava that led directly into the belly of the mountain. Princess Red Lotus and Huang Qianli did not hesitate at all. They shot into the cave. They fell for tens of thousands of meters before reaching the bottom. Poof, poof, poof. The scorching lava roasted the metallic stone walls. "Teacher Yan Qi, Huang Qianli, and Princess Red Lotus greet you. Come in," an indifferent voice rang out. At the same time, a crack rang out. A stone wall suddenly rose up, revealing a red space within. A terrifying wave of heat hit them in the face. Huang Qianli and Princess Red Lotus entered without hesitation. Their expressions were extremely respectful. The red space inside the stone wall was actually a large lake of lava. The terrifying red lava continuously bubbled, evaporated, and exploded. The scene was extremely shocking. What was even more shocking was that in the center of the lava lake, there was a middle-aged man in a red robe. His hands were behind his back and he seemed to be floating above the lava lake. Both his eyebrows and hair were crimson in color. Furthermore, his hair reached his waist and fluttered in the wind. If one were to look closely, they would see that his eyebrows, hair, and even his entire body were burning with flames. His face was as cold as a stone statue, and his eyes were extremely sharp. His every movement gave off an extremely domineering feeling. A sovereign overlooking the world. At any time and place, he exuded a pressure that made people's hearts palpitate. Dense red talismans tumbled out of his body and merged into the lava flames. Teacher Yanqi. Huang Qianli and Princess Red Lotus bowed in greeting. Yanqi. An ancient giant on the monster ranking. He was ranked 77th. Strictly speaking, this ranking was below average in all of the ancient giants. However, Yanqi was very young. He was only a little over 9,000 years old. Not only was he the youngest ancient giant, but he was even younger than most of the ancient giants on the monster ranking. Without a doubt, this person was a genius. At least in this plane he was a genius among geniuses. Huang Qianli, Princess Red Lotus, I called you here today because I want you to help me take care of some of the empires that I rule and take care of my family. This time, I'm going to the genius zone. It's no small matter. I have to compete with many geniuses from other planes. I don't know if I can return safely. Yanqi's eyes burned with great ambition and aspiration. Teacher Yanqi, with your battle prowess, even if you encounter geniuses from other planes, you can crush them. You will definitely return victorious. We will wait here for your good news, Huang Tianli and Princess Red Lotus said at the same time. It's fine. Life and death are determined by fate. Riches are found in danger. This time, as the person with the highest cultivation level among the people entering the genius zone, I must obtain the immortal emperor's treasure. Yanqi's gaze seemed to exude a wave of heat. In an instant, Princess Red Lotus and Huang Qianli were pushed back a few steps. He shouted, almost in a snarl. If I obtain the immortal elixir and immortal qi, I can form an immortal body and directly ascend to become an immortal. If I obtain the immortal treasure from the immortal world, which is the so-called immortal artifact, it will be even more incredible. It can destroy the earth, change the trajectories of the stars, change the seasons, reverse the seasons, and travel between planes. It is a world-shattering treasure that has endless power and endless wonders. As long as I have an immortal treasure, I can even kill the Tower Master with one move. I can also dominate tens of thousands of planes. This time I, Yanqi, will enter the genius zone and succeed. I must be reborn. Tomorrow I will go to the Yaoxiao Pagoda and meet with the Tower Master to discuss the matter of entering the genius zone. Following Yanqi's maniacal laughter, the entire flaming mountain erupted and filled the sky. At the same time, the other people who had obtained the places to enter the genius zone, the powerhouses of the past, were also waiting for the battle. They were all in high spirits and headed to the Yaoxiao Pagoda. The entire plane was in turmoil. In this plane, including Xiao Han and Xiao Mingqiu, 103 people who were going to enter the genius zone rushed to the Yaoxiao Pagoda. It was a sign that the exploration of the genius zone had officially begun. To be continued. Update quick text. Chapter 410. On this day, Xiao Han and Xiao Mingqiu were already prepared and ready to leave. At the peak of the main peak of the Pure Mountain Range, Wu ***, Dongfang Qin, Fang Ling, many true disciples as well as Xiao Han's two wives, Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong, all came to send them off. Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong saw that Xiao Han was going to leave again. Their faces were filled with reluctance and their beautiful eyes were filled with attachment. Xiao Han pulled his two wives to the side and told them about the parting. Uncle, you're going to leave again? Then when will you come back this time? Jing Yanxue pulled Xiao Han and said coquettishly. Sigh. Xiao Han sighed and mumbled. I can't always be by your side and let you suffer the pain of lovesickness. I can't bear it either. While saying that, Xiao Han was also moved. He couldn't help but embrace the two women in his arms. Xiao Han murmured. Don't worry, I will return as soon as possible. In the future we will have many opportunities to stay together. You will also have children for me and enjoy it. In Xiao Han's arms, Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong softened and became obedient. Oh right, when I am away you must listen to the sect master's orders. Not long after, Princess Mo Hen will bring her family to my true disciple mountain. At that time you must take care of her. Princess Mo Hen is also a bitter person. She is deserted by her family and alone. Xiao Han said gently. Jing Yanxue and Lan Shirong only nodded. Also, follow Master Yen Lang and learn well. If there are no accidents, I will bring back a lot of immortal herbs. At that time you can help me refine immortal pills. Hehe. Xiao Han teased. Not long after, Xiao Han and Xiao Mingqiu used their true qi and flew across the sky. They left the Pure Mountain Range and flew towards the direction of the Devil Hero region. Suddenly, the Devil Hero token in Xiao Mingqiu's arms rang. Someone sent a message. Xiao Mingqiu didn't dare to be slow. He took out the Devil Hero token and immersed his spirit into it. It's a private message from the Tower Master. Junior brother Xiaohan, let me read this message carefully. Xiaohan nodded calmly. After 100 breaths, Xiao Mingqiu carefully put away the Yinxia token and looked at Xiaohan. Junior brother Xiaohan, the Pagoda Master just sent me a message, asking me to enter the 1000th level of the Yinxia Pagoda directly after arriving at the Yinxia domain. At that time, other chivalrous heroes who had obtained places to enter the Genius Zone would also gather on the 1000th floor, meet with the elders and start a discussion. Oh, then I should have reached the 1000th floor of the Yaoxia Pagoda with you, right? Xiaohan smiled. Xiao Mingqiu shook his head. Junior brother Xiaohan, the Pagoda Master asked me to tell you that you don't have to go to the 1000th floor of the Monster Hero Pagoda for the meeting. You can go to the 1001st floor alone. It was also the top floor of the Yaoxia Pagoda. According to what I know, the 1001st floor of the Demonic Hero Pagoda is also known as the Pagoda Master's Forbidden Ground. Usually, it's mainly used by the Pagoda Master and the elders for seclusion. Even the ancient giants don't dare to barge in. Eldest senior brother, all of you go to the 1000th floor for the meeting. I'll go to the 1001st floor alone. Xiaohan frowned slightly. Could it be that the Pagoda Master, junior brother Xiaohan, you're in need of help now? I think that with your luck, the Pagoda Master won't harm you. If you want to kill the donkey once it's no longer of use, you should at least wait until you return from the Genius Zone. Xiao Mingqiu said seriously. Forget it. I'll deal with it when it comes. Xiaohan smiled. I'll go to the 1001st floor directly. Let's see what tricks the Pagoda Master has up his sleeves. Yes. Xiao Mingqiu nodded. By the way, junior brother Xiaohan, the Pagoda Master sent a private message just now. The Immortal World sent another message yesterday. Detailed information about the Genius Zone? Xiaohan blurted out. Yes, it seems to be the spatial coordinates of the Genius Zone and the specific time when the chivalrous heroes selected from each plane will enter the Genius Zone. There are also some simple rules, Xiao Mingqiu said solemnly. That's interesting. Xiaohan's eyes lit up. I didn't expect the spatial coordinates of the Genius Zone to be sent down. We're about to enter the Genius Zone. It's really about to happen. Let's go. Junior brother Xiaohan, let's speed up and try to reach the Yaoxia Pagoda as soon as possible. Now, I also have a slight itch that I can't scratch. Xiao Mingqiu's breathing also became slightly hurried. The Yaoxia Pagoda. The top floor. The 1001st floor. There was only one room on the top floor of the Yaoxia Pagoda. The thick metal door was tightly shut. Countless ancient characters and talismans were carved on the metal door. There were also star veins extending on the door. There were all kinds of strange phenomena, holy light as vast as the sea, and there were even traces of immortal qi. It was supreme. If someone looked at the door for a long time, they would feel a kind of suction force, sucking their soul into a vast and mysterious world. Strands of aura capable of obliterating the world lay dormant within the door, and it caused the heavens and the earth and the universe to tremble because no one could go against it. It was as if there was a group of ancient gods inside the door. The 13 mental storms were wriggling non-stop as they communicated with each other nervously. Yesterday the Immortal World sent down a message again. It told us some rules of entering the Genius Zone, the Pagoda Master said in a muffled voice. The other 12 spirit storms represented the elders. They were so nervous that they held their breath. One of the elders said in a trembling voice. Pagoda Master, the Immortal World even sent down the spatial coordinates of the Genius Zone. This is equivalent to telling us the exact location of Immortal Emperor Ju Dao's lair. This way we can find Immortal Emperor Ju Dao's lair in the boundless universe. With the spatial coordinates we can avoid getting lost in the endless universe. Humph. What do you know? How shallow. The Pagoda Master snorted in an eccentric manner. Yes, the spatial coordinates of the Genius Zone have been sent down from above. However, do you know how far away this plane is from the Genius Zone? How long will it take to get there? The group of elders was dumbfounded. They did not know as much as the Pagoda Master. I received a map from the Immortal World. Now, I can tell you that if we depart from our plane, even if the journey is smooth and we are not affected by any turbulent energy flow in the universe, we will still need about 10,000 years to reach the Genius Zone. 10,000 years? By then it will be too late. Besides, how can we not encounter turbulent energy flow in the universe for 10,000 years? The journey will be very dangerous. Who knows, we might die in the universe within a few years. Yes, it was almost impossible to fly safely in the universe for 10,000 years. The universe was filled with traps and dangers at all times. The land of extreme perils, domain of chill, land of extreme perils, domain of flame, black hole, heavenly fire, meteorite fragments, meteor clusters. The 12 elders were dumbfounded after hearing the pagoda master's words. The genius zone will automatically open once every 3,000 years. This is the precise time sent down by the immortal world, the pagoda master said coldly. I can tell everyone that the most accurate time until the opening of the genius zone this time is 288 days. There are still 288 days left. In other words, we must reach the genius zone within 288 days. Otherwise, people from other planes will go there and we will have to wait another 3,000 years for the next opening. I'm afraid we won't be able to get anything. Huh? There are still 288 days? Why is it so urgent? Gasps could be heard one after another. Pagoda Master, if that's the case, we will have rejoiced for nothing. It will take 10,000 years to fly from our plane to immortal Emperor Judao's lair, but there are only 288 days left before the genius zone automatically opens. There is no time at all. There is no time at all. I really didn't expect it to be like this. To be honest, this is very unfair. An elder shouted angrily. In other words, being able to enter the genius zone has nothing to do with talent or strength. It is all about location. Those who are close to immortal Emperor Judao's lair within 288 days will be able to enter. Those who are slightly further away, like our plane, can only watch helplessly. We will not have a share of such a huge treasure. Don't be so noisy. The pagoda master suddenly smiled. All right, I will tell you the truth. A large number of true immortals and immortal emperors of the immortal world have spent endless energy to set up countless space springboards in the vast space of the lower realm. Space springboards? Yes, they are the space springboards that are built with teleportation formations that can directly teleport to the outer area of immortal Emperor Judao's lair. The pagoda master's voice became louder. According to the rumors, the demon realm of the upper realm is weak, and the supposedly invincible demon god was defeated by a host of immortals. Because of that, the immortals were able to spend immortal power, time, and energy to set up all of these space springboards. Thousands of space springboards were set up so that the demon heroes of countless planes could teleport to immortal Emperor Judao's lair through the nearest space springboards. Of course, this also shows that immortal Emperor Judao's treasure is too tempting. Countless immortals and immortal emperors paid attention to it and did not hesitate to set up so many space springboards. Thousands of space springboards, so that the demon heroes of countless planes could choose the one closest to their own plane and teleport. Things seem to be much simpler this way. Is that so? Pagoda Master, there should be a space springboard near our plane, right? An elder asked excitedly while trembling. There definitely is. The Pagoda Master said seriously. I have already analyzed the map. There are a total of 3 space springboards that are closest to our plane. One of them will take about 200 days to reach from our plane if there are no accidents. The other one will take about 260 days. The last one will take about 300 to 500 days. Pagoda Master, do we still need to choose? Of course, we will go to the space springboard that will take us 200 days to reach. The elders shouted. There are 288 days until the opening of the genius zone. If we can reach the space springboard within 200 days and then teleport, we can reach the outer area of immortal Emperor Judao's lair in advance. Stupid. The Pagoda Master said disdainfully. From our plane to any space springboard, we need to go through a section of the universe. It is also full of danger. We must choose a relatively safe path. We cannot choose it just because of time. Forget it, I will decide which space springboard to choose as soon as possible. There is no time to lose. Immediately call for a meeting. All of you go and take charge of the 102 people who will enter the genius zone. I will talk to Xiaohan alone. That eternal giant Yan Qi is the biggest asset for our plane to compete with the demon heroes of other planes. Don't take advantage of your seniority and neglect him. Yes, Tower Master. To be continued. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.